Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection, coming to you live from the beautiful Ligony Club in Kingston, Jamaica. We are so pleased to be here. Well, you hear that every Thursday morning because I get very excited just being outdoors, fresh air. The sky is a nice, cool blue. We thought it was going to rain this morning. It's a little overcast, but the sun is coming through nice and quiet, I think. Good morning to those who have joined us on air and those who are joining us online. Make haste and come. I'm waiting to see my usual greetings from the UK where they're about ready to have lunch. And good morning to Jason Del Valle of JD's Urban Pub, where I'm going to have a delicious breakfast this morning. JD, what happened to the tree, the lights on the Christmas tree?
And what happened to the excellent background that was here from last week?
Oh, yes. You know what? I hear you, brother. JPS is going to be joining us this morning. We can talk to them. Good morning, Pastor Percival. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Well, you can see I'm energized.
You're energized because
And
you're outdoor and it's a nice
man. I
morning.
love it.
There's a
I love it.
gentle breeze blowing, I would say, across the savannah, but you're not in Trinidad. But it's blowing across the terraces here at the Ligony Cup. Good morning. How are you? It's a great day to be alive. And today, it's going to be greater still. Because God is in the house. The joke last night was that
this is the joke at home, not the joke.
No. Because I told there's a medical mission that we're doing this morning, begins this morning at church.
I know, when you say joke, I get worried.
No.
But carry on.
No, but so Pastor Miller
Yes.
always says that to visitors, he's glad that they're here because they have come to where God lives.
Mm-hmm.
So the gentleman from America says, well, I don't know about that. And my proof of it is that I'm from the state of Delaware and the president of the United States is from there. So that's where God lives. I said, okay, that's not a joke really. So they were bantering about where God lives and so I said, it's a good thing that God is not bound by us as we've come to recognize.
Yes.
No, that God lives everywhere. He's omnipresent.
I knew I was right to be worried.
No,
it almost got heretical. Not your fault.
Not my fault. I'm
Yes,
just saying
not your fault.
these guys constantly, God lives here and God lives there. It's amazing that God lives everywhere.
But as you say, Pastor Miller started it.
Yes, he started it. So. I don't know. But it's going to be a great
We
day.
have lots of people online who remind us that God is in man.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, when man draws close enough to God, man looks like God.
True.
And therefore, when a man of God take out the off and say, man God, it's entirely understandable because when you carry the presence of God, and you know, we stumble into a kind of a real serious issue because many persons get very conflicted on the subject of how God is represented, how he manifests himself, and the fact that he manifests himself through men and women, children, whatever being he chooses, because he is sovereign and he can choose to represent himself in any part of his creation, any aspect of his creation. The mistake is to worship the vessel instead of what's in the vessel.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's the mistake.
That's where the idolatry really begins.
That is where the idolatry begins. But we do understand, for those who think Pastor and I struggle with the idea of man in God or God in man. We understand the vessel and the presence.
Right.
And we know that the presence commands worship and respect wherever it manifests.
Yeah, the presence of God.
The presence of God. Oh, we blew past the 6:30 break. Ooh, okay. Let's take our first break.
You blew past it.
Yes.
We're having so much fun.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy. Welcome back. Welcome back.
But these breaks that we have, all kind of things happen in this break. If they were to, when you have football games and they take a break and they mic them. Like,
right, so you get to hear what high entertainment.
The people would say, no man, I better listen to the break. What's happening in the full thing.
So you make people curious now. What is Pastor talking about during the break with Miss Minette? I give you a hint. We did speak some more about understanding that God, when God shows up in the form of a man, or when his presence is contained in the vessel of a man, which it's possible for every being that he has created, because he left a marker. Mm-hmm. He left a trace of himself to which he can attach and manifest in full bloom at any time.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, that it says that some people speak about there's a part in you that only God.
Only God can fill it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and people try to fill it with different things.
And it blows up spectacularly. But watch this. See how artificial intelligence is tracking that presence. When you talk about mRNA? When you talk about a trace that can be inserted into the body, which can be programmed and which can be made to respond to external influences. I'm just you
get into something that is.
It is the way that the if you say then the world is tracking and trying to replicate, and it's the same age old thing. If we didn't know a story that said Lucifer coveted God's position and sought to take it for himself, if you never knew that story, and what you could see now is man always looking at the created world, the universe, and trying to replicate all that they see by studying it, pulling it apart, and then trying to synthesize something which is a facsimile of what you see in the created, in the natural world. You would eventually make up a story about two beings having some kind of supernatural struggle outside of this world, and tying it back to how we ourselves are here, looking at the environment, coveting its complexity, its beauty, its awesomeness, and trying to say, well, could I make that?
Intricate design. And we call it divine design.
So, and if you never wandered into those streams of thought, and you find yourself contemplating it all on your own, as if you're the first person to think of it, you would understand that man is going to pursue that path until it reaches an apocalyptic moment. Because the two must collide. We are heading there. We're always heading there. When you talk about Alpha Omega, the beginning and the end, once it starts, it ends, and it starts again, it ends again, it starts. You've got me it
comes back to the ultimate question.
Yes.
I believe in the universe is who will you worship?
you always come to that place of choosing.
Yes.
Yesterday I had a very interesting discussion with a group of ladies that
A
I
group
meet
of
with on
ladies.
Wednesday nights. Yeah.
Can I come?
Um,
Can I come?
Well, if you're a lady, you're so welcome.
What I would do is say I'm feeling like a lady at that
Yeah.
moment, and I can come.
No, and then we'll say, wait until the case is decided in where? Scotland?
In Scotland.
That says lesbians have to be originally made as women. They can't reconfigure themselves. and
Oh,
then,
why? Can't just think in your mind
and
so
then
you
say
feel
I'm
like
a
a man
lesbian.
today or I feel like a woman
Lord
today.
have mercy. But you know, that lesbian case is right up there with the girls who wanted to be Boy Scouts.
Okay, yes, I remember that.
There's always some challenge going. They look like they're having fun over there.
It's
I want to
good.
be one of them.
Yes, a good child.
Yeah, but you always come to that understanding of things, that in the way that things are seasonal and cyclical, even in terms of man's behavior on the largest stage of life, we're doing that. We're looking at something, we're coveting it, and we're trying to build it in our home. It's just the same way. You paint your house one pretty color. Before you know it, the whole neighborhood has gone to that color.
It's not
you,
a joke,
you
you
set
know.
up a stall and it look like it doing well. Before you know it, six
Everybody
people are
is
selling the same thing. So it
So
is
it's
a
good to be the
instinct.
innovator, the first
Oh yeah,
one
to
who
have
come
the and then lead it into something else.
Right.
Yeah, so we do, and it's not a bad thing,
You know,
that you
it's-
try to copy excellence.
Oh, that is true. They
The-
said the
the-
greatest what? The greatest compliment is when people...
The greatest flattery is imitation.
Yes.
Imitation. So you imitate what you like. There's a cat hunting. Oh boy. See, that's why I love being outdoors. You
Look
get
at
to
that
see
now.
a cat stalking a lizard.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming that's what he's
That's
doing.
what he's doing, and he's walking on top
Yeah.
of the netting.
It's breakfast time.
Yes.
Yeah. It's free flowing Thursday, so please forgive us for the non sequiturs
No,
when we
but-
just move from one topic to
No,
another.
but just to go
Yeah,
back
but
to
I
where we
was
started,
talking about how artificial intelligence
It's trying to
is
do-
man's effort to imitate the God gene. Let's call it the God gene, meaning God has left something in all of his created beings to which he can attach himself and animate your body and move you, and from resurrection to renewal of mind to infusion of the spirit to the quickening of the spirit that we hear spoken of in scripture when Mary was with child and she went to visit her cousin Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was also with child with John the Baptist was in utero, and when the babies heard the mother's voices
They
and
jumped.
they joined in the conversation, the child moved, quickened. The quickening occurs through that genetic coding that your designer left in. It's like a backdoor. For those who do software, who do
The
coding,
backlighting, yeah.
then you know that they can leave a point of interface where if something goes horribly wrong with the program, the designer can always come back and enter into it and reconfigure it.
That's not hacking, is it?
No, it's not. It's only hacking if it's an unauthorized person.
So that's what we think we're trying to do with God's creation. By
Try
trying to
hack it.
try hacking into what?
No,
does it-
but understand, he gave us permission. He says, I give you authority over all things. So we do have permission. It comes back to your favorite organ of the body there.
Which one?
The heart. Come and know and say which one. You have a few shortlisted favorites.
We have to qualify which one of them the favorite
Yes.
part of the body. All right.
Let's see. It depends on time of day, place, company, which is my favorite part today.
Yeah.
The heart. It comes back to it. And he's really trusting us to have the right heart for various things.
I love that. We always go back there, don't we?
Yeah. Always
What
goes
is-
back there.
As in a man, whatever is a man, man.
So a man thinketh.
Yeah. So is he becoming, according to the original, as a man?
Yeah.
So is he becoming, because what is in your heart, ultimately, and when we speak of heart, we're not speaking about the heart that you can go
The bloody
ECG on,
organ.
the bloody organ, according to one of our callers.
You and African.
Yes, we're talking about the heart, the emotions, the
Yeah.
will, all of that.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
The soul of man.
Yes.
And he's counting on us to draw close to him, be infused by his own spirit of love and compassion, and let that change and settle our heart into a place where we begin to act like him, and in so doing we become like gods. Well, not gods with an S, but we become like God. Become like Him. All right. How are we going to
Do it today.
conduct ourselves
Oh,
this morning?
it's a wonderful day. It's chock full of goodness of guests today.
I love it when you get poetic.
Chock full of goodness.
It's almost as good as when Sheppy made a joke. Mind you, this morning, Sheppy going to forgive. No, I said we're going to listen to it again. Because Lowell got it. Did you get the joke?
Yes.
So it's just me. Oh man, like, okay, searching in the fountain. Okay, no soap, no rag. So it can't be called bathing. That's a definition.
Of bathing.
Yeah.
But the person got off, and his intention was to make the policeman look fool. That's what he did.
But I tell you, it's a Sheppy that I like.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, it's a Sheppy that I like. I mean, people complain that Sheppy likes to defend the JLP. I don't care that he defends the JLP. In my world,
passionate about it, yes.
But in my world, everybody deserves a defense.
Yes,
it might not succeed,
but it is.
But they have a right to mount their defense.
The right to freedom of speech and thought and expression.
Yeah.
It's not interesting.
Yeah, I don't mind that he defends the JLP. Yeah. Some people get fed up with him defending the indefensible.
Yeah, but there are people who defend the PMP hard too.
Yes.
People are defending the UIC hard. And some people are defending nothing at all, but them
hard.
But them are defending it hard too.
No, you're right. There's some who are emphatic that if they don't see anything they like, they're staying away.
Yes.
And we can't budge them out of that place. The world is wonderful in all its diversity. But we do have several guests. The producer looking troubled, and yesterday was his birthday, so we don't want him to look troubled. Oh, Percy's in the naughty corner again.
This is it?
Percy, why are you always in the naughty corner with the mic?
The mic. I'm making a plea.
Yes.
We want mics that we just stick over our ears. Just put on and it is
that moves with you. Microphones that move with you.
So when you move it. Who knows? Hello.
Yes, somebody who love technology.
Ask.
That's true. Ask. Make your petition known. Absolutely.
It's like yesterday when we were asking for the increase.
Maybe it's because he gave us 100% increase yesterday. I know. So I'm saying so there's nothing in the budget for the microphones.
We got 100% increase
yesterday at his birthday. It was feeling very generous. It was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Anything you want, you get it.
Today is cranky old man day. Right. Stay out of his way.
It's like when Herod's daughter-in-law.
Oh, Salome, the dancer, the go-go dancer.
And it was a go-go dancer.
Well, any woman who dances for a man and leaves him saying, whatever you want, half of my kingdom, speak it. She a go-go dancer. That is my conclusion.
I never me say it, Is the woman saying it, so is me not going to no naughty corner today.
With no go-go dancer.
Take it out today.
Anyway, you were saying Salome made her request.
Yes. So, and we're on that same thing, but he flatly said no.
Nothing in the budget for John the Baptist's head. And we weren't even asking for his head, not even an ear.
We were just asking for
just a little microphone to put over the ear. Anyway, stop harassing the producer. I have to live with him. I don't want you to give him any trouble.
Says, you can't say anything you want, but when I go home, we have to go home after this. So,
yes,
that is always the issue. Yeah.
Producer is great at home or in the beautiful setting of the Ligani Club garden.
But he really enjoyed his birthday. And listeners, he got cake and he not bring none for me. So me I make my complaint on national radio.
And he got wine also. Oh. There was wine and fruits and cane. Oh my God.
The place where the cake was.
Yes, the cake don't travel. It has no legs.
Drive past.
You drive past it this morning. Okay.
When they talk about cane having legs, you know what ran across my mind? Like you go into a place and something goes missing and it says, get up and walk out there. They have some 2-foot rat or That is
Yes,
not
yes, yes.
a rats have 4 feet, but 2 foot rat are operating in this
Yes,
place.
that's true.
The boy, I tell you, only Jamaicans can come up with those kind of sayings.
Yeah, because also because we don't like well, not that we don't like to take responsibility. Let's put it this way: we believe that whoever thinks we are responsible must prove it. And we don't need to step up and say yes to anything. So we'll say things. Yeah. So we'll say things like,
Like Shaggy, it was
the bus left me this morning. That's a common thing. The bus leave me this morning because the bus should have waited.
Yes.
Or we'll say things like, it just drop out of my hand and break. No, drop out of my hand and broke. Like, you didn't let it go. Or you
didn't do that.
No, it dropped out of my hand and broke.
So it took on a life of its
It took
own.
on a, yes.
And it walked
grew
out
legs.
of your hands and left.
I flung itself to the ground and shattered.
Yeah, wow.
It's not I dropped it. It dropped.
Do you think
Yes.
do you think that because that is how we are as people, so to shift gears a little bit, that is why in our country the government and the princes and the do not take responsibility?
That's an interesting place you've gone to, because I was thinking it is a little bit of the colonial relic. You never spoke in the first person because the first person had no value, was meaningless, was chattel. The thing in your hand always had more value, and that's what you spoke to. So I just saw somebody saying, I don't know what happened, massa. It dropped. You could have never say, me drop it. That would definitely get you 10 lashes. So I was seeing that. I was just seeing that we depersonalize things because our personhood was not recognized. But the idea that the princes do the same thing to us. We don't have value. Our thoughts and our opinions don't count. Our threats are meaningless, and whatever they see is theirs.
Yeah.
And the only time you'll see an eruption when two of them set them eye on the same thing, like when NHT took Marksman to court over the contribution from workers, but the workers were not in court.
The workers were not represented.
So really what it was is two princes had their eye on the same money. It didn't matter that the workers have to labor before that money can materialize.
Two princes,
So
like
yeah,
they say.
we only see it when it overflow like that. Two of them are fight over something.
Oh boy.
But you don't see the worker is not in it, and the judge remarked on it, something that is still
In our psyche. No.
bubbling in the back of my mind.
But let's stretch it a little bit.
Stretch it, Pastor, stretch it.
And think about it really. If I do not consider you as a person, as somebody of value and of worth, then in terms of how I do my planning,
Yes.
whatever is happening,
You're the last.
Yeah, you're the last.
last component.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
considering you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just thinking about, okay, I want to leave a legacy to say I was the builder.
Yeah. Of a great institution.
Or
Doesn't matter if the institution actually serves
any purpose at all.
any great purpose. Yeah.
I'm a builder, and so whatever it is, I'm just reflecting on NHT and a part of the last prime ministerial debate.
Yeah.
For the people, it has come out. Hello, somebody said I built so many houses. People said, let me go check. In terms of what is published, because you see, you can always fact check. Somebody can say something.
Yeah, man.
But based on your data, not go so. But no, it was a misspeak. It was aspirational.
But you can't. Yeah, but you can't take back the impact that it has.
Yeah.
Whether on those who heard it and were encouraged, or those who were deceived and become very bitter because that deception continues to traumatize you when you have to look at current events.
And even if you take it international, like Biden's son, the the laptop from hell, as it was called. Some people says fake news, misinformation. I know it's come out that some people are saying if we didn't know about that, it wouldn't fuck with them at all.
It's real.
It's real. It's a real thing. So we have to be so careful in terms of what we say. It's going back to the saying, the things that we say. Are we taking responsibility for the things that come out of our mouth? Because what you say will have an impact, will have a definite impact in terms of your listeners. So you have to be so careful in terms of the things that you say, which goes back to a principle that we keep speaking about. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, the things that you speak. And you will eat the fruit of what you say, which goes back to the discussion we had yesterday, which took up a significant part of the show.
It flavored
the
entire show.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not, we introduced this, somebody called us, when the young people call themselves dogs, and what are the implications?
I have to take responsibility for turning it in the direction that it ultimately went, because many persons have called, well, not many, one lady in particular, Lady Love is always saying that. She says, you're princes, you're dog, not dogs, and why would you liken yourself? But somehow yesterday when it came up, I had an image of my two dogs who are beautiful creatures, so loving and loyal, and oh my goodness, and even in how they care for each other. And I was thinking to myself, but maybe we are misunderstanding that this slang came out of a recognition of some noble virtues in the dog, who is known
loyal
as being man's best friend. And you see them then loyal to whomever gives them love and wherever they choose to place their love. And I'm saying choose.
Choose.
Because while instinct is the absence of choice, still whatever instinct has been placed in them allows them to navigate, and they will bite one and love the other.
True.
And sometimes you have things like, I grew up hearing that if an animal is tender to a child, that's a good. You can trust that animal. But if an animal will snarl and bite a baby, you should just take that one to the vet and put him down. Because ultimately something is going to go wrong.
And interestingly too,
you
go into a house and they say the dog especially will pick up if you're a good or a bad person. You ever heard that before?
That is what I'm saying, my dear.
You go
I use the baby, you use the house. But
no,
yes.
They go into a house and there's a dog there, somebody comes in and the dog will begin to growl.
Yeah.
And them say,
they'll know, friend or foe.
And then you come in and the dog, all right. And they're good. They sense of spirit. Even with dogs too, he can smell your fear.
Well, the whole story of Balaam and the donkey that spoke, it's because the donkey could sense that an invisible presence
was
there, and it didn't mean good. It wasn't giving you spiritual carrots. It had a sword, a naked sword. I just love how we can randomly talk about every kind of craziness.
No, craziness is principles.
Thank you for dignifying it.
No, man, seriously, no. It just occurred to me how, as you spoke about the personhood and how we depersonalize it. It probably, whether we like it or not, it probably stemming from the fact that how we were treated. So, and if you say, boy, Massa, if me go tell the Massa, me drop it in now, take it on. All,
But, I mean, even growing up as children, where children should be seen but not heard, you can't be having too much I talk. I think, I want, what? That's way too much ego stirring up trouble. So
and there's a balance between that.
Yeah, so you learn to neutralize your speech, and then eventually it becomes a way of avoiding responsibility.
Yes.
Or you speak like the queen and everything is we.
Okay. Or you take responsibility and say, I've done this and done that. And you have to be careful, because you can border on becoming prideful. I have done this.
Yes.
Somebody did
so
that
really
and they have to go eat grass. He says, I have done all of this. And then the watcher says, really? You have not understood that it's because of myself. I've given you this.
I have given this
You
to
see,
you.
and they go
Yeah.
eat grass for 7 years. Wow. And people we're not speaking as if they when we relate that story in terms of Nebuchadnezzar,
Nebuchadnezzar.
people saying, but in actual historical records outside of the Bible, there's a point in which that same somebody stood in his throne for the period of time that he was not king. Wonderful.
It's a historical fact,
Fact, yes.
not a made up story.
Yes.
Time for our 7 o'clock break. All right. You can have it. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. And while Pastor Percival is taking a comfort break, let me just remind you that our time here on Thursdays is courtesy of the Ligony Club. And the Ligony Club is the single largest sporting facility under one roof in the English speaking Caribbean. 6 squash courts, 8 tennis courts, and I hear we're putting in a pickleball court now. I confess, I am yet to discover what pickleball is, but it's played on a court like badminton, and we are putting in pickleball courts with some excitement, I am told. A really large size swimming pool, a full service gymnasium, walking trails, and we have about 38 hotel rooms that can be your home away from home should you choose to spend some time with us. The restaurant is JD's Urban Pub, which provides some delicious local cuisine, and they start serving from, I think, 6 a.m. I mean, even now as we are tuning up, there are some diners in the pavilion right in front of us, and any minute now I expect that we will get the delicious smells of corn pork and ackee and saltfish and callaloo coming at us from the dining area. But suffice it to say, we are grateful to have the support of our Ligony Club family and JD's Urban Pub and Carmen's Corner, one of our foundation supporters, making sure that yours truly looked good. Of course, now I spend as much time as I can in my Best FM shirt, because Best FM makes it possible for us to be in your ears every morning, Mondays to Thursdays. All right, so Percy's back and I can take a break. Your turn, Percy. Yes, I told him you're on a comfort break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we want to share with you who's going to be entertaining you along with us, educating you and uplifting you this morning.
All right, so as we said, we have a chock full package this morning in terms of our guests. So we begin with Prophet Ricardo Brown from New Destiny Fellowship out of Delaware, who is partnering with a local church here in Jamaica, Fellowship Tabernacle Whole Life Ministries, to do a medical mission beginning today from the 6th to the 8th, and they're partnering with Hands Fellowship out of California, and I found it fascinating. Here's a group of individuals who have partnered with a church to do medical mission. And it is a full-fledged medical missions. You have dentistry, medical, optometrist, and it's going to be fascinating.
Maybe
so
you should say bone doctor, eye doctor.
No, there's no bone doctor. That's a specialist sort of thing. But we just want to thank the Ministry of Health for facilitating it, because do you know that if you're coming to do missions here and you're bringing doctors, they have to be accredited.
Of course.
But yes, to do what they're doing. So,
but geez, Percy, you really said that? Do you know?
No, and some people just take it for granted that people can say come in on a mission and just come, doctors, and they know that there are systems and policies and protocols that people have to go through in order to bring in the teams. And you say, but them could have come, them might come for the good. No, it's not like that, because there are standards that need to be met in order for people to come to practice what they're doing. You know? So, and then of course we have JPSCO with Miss Marilyn McDonald, our friend who is coming back, and she's the manager of the community
renewal community renewal program.
Right. And then of course everybody been talking about census, so we're having somebody to come talk about that this morning.
Well, let me introduce to somebody.
Yes.
Miss Sasha Gay Frazier, a senior research and information officer from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica. She's going to spend some time with us. She will be with us from 9 a.m. For about a half an hour. We did have one caller expressed some concern about receiving text messages and wanting to know how the census was being conducted, whether or not the census involved the taking of information by some electronic means. And we felt, it was worth the while to get some information to you on this whole business of me count, you count, all we count census 2022. A census is done every 10 years, only every 10 years. And Sasha Gay is going to talk to us about why the census, how it is being conducted, what you can expect, and how to kind of interact with the officers who are going to be going out. Some of them may have already started in some parts of Jamaica. If you are a visitor to Jamaica staying in a hotel or a guest house, you will not be counted. If you are a visitor on a ship in harbor on census night, you will not be counted. Just letting you know who won't be counted. Jamaica diplomatic personnel located overseas, there's nobody coming overseas to count you. And foreign diplomatic personnel located in Jamaica, you also will not be counted. So do not ask why the census man passed you by. Persons who are not normally resident in Jamaica but maintain summer homes looked after by a caretaker in their absence. In such cases, these persons only visit and spend several months at a time each year. They are not counted. We're going to talk about the famous census that led to the death of 70,000 people.
No, you mean the one that David did?
That David did. It's not that kind of census. So, when Miss Sasha Gay comes, you will get to learn as much as you can, through our conversation with her.
Census can cause death,
Census can cause death.
But in that context, I think what happened, the focus shifted from God to David to say, let me just, when I get idle and have nothing to do.
And you're going to your room of treasures, and just want to see, am I a billionaire yet?
Oh, that kind of a thing. So
it's one of those moments. But what's interesting about that census is, in one telling of it, I think in the Book of Kings, the recording of it is different from in the Chronicles. In one of them, it says that David was incited by an evil spirit to move in that direction. So it was an attempt. It was an attempt to humble David and put him in a state where he could be. And then the punishment didn't visit David. The 70,000 people who died, they're the ones.
David said, you know what? It's better fall into the hands of God, who's a merciful God, versus the hands of man.
That was at punishment time.
Yes, I
mean. So you mean like how Jamaica is at punishment time now? We should encourage our leaders to
better fall into
choose the mercy of God than the wrath of the United States or Russia or China or whichever other superpower is looking ready to engage with us for our salvation.
Oh boy.
Why we always wander into these deep waters kind of
discussion?
Yes, because before the break, we're talking about the fact that a choice is inevitable. Mm-hmm. You are going to have to choose. And I was referring to my ladies' meeting that you tried to break into.
You tried to break into. I would decide to become a female to get into the meeting.
Into that meeting. So we're talking about my ladies' meeting last night, where we were discussing Daniel, and the question was, dare to be a Daniel. How do you make the story of Daniel relevant in today's very modern world? We're not talking about a den of lions.
No.
We're talking about
Choices.
A cabal of directors and powerful people who can slaughter you by just with the stroke of a pen.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the necessity to choose a path that displays integrity and justice and righteousness when you are confronted with certain situations in your job. Mm-hmm. If you work in healthcare and you are seeing an inequitable distribution of services, mm-hmm. or you're seeing, corners being cut and substandard offerings being put on the table for the citizen, can you speak up? Can you choose to be Well, whether you are blow the whistle privately, secretly, or you are making your position known in a very direct way, it's always a choice you make. Do I keep quiet and say, "Boy, Lord, please, you see what I'm gonna do," or do you say, "No, that is wrong.
Or you
Write
stand up
that
for your
memo,
faith. Yeah, man.
call that press conference, bring the kind of attention to it."
Call it
Just
out.
trying
Call it out.
to make it clear that the choice to be a Daniel these days, it's not about kneeling down and praying by an open window where people can see you.
Not.
It's about taking a position
Of
on
personal
principles
integrity.
of righteousness and integrity.
And justice.
And if you look around you and you are knowledgeable, aware of how things run, you will see that you have those choices to make every day. Every day.
You know
if
that?
you're driving past a policeman with some people by the side of the road and you know the policeman is shaking them down, you can just look and tell. Do you have the courage to stop and say, "Officer, is everything okay?"
Yes.
Or I've done that. I've slowed down and waved to the citizen. Are you all right?
And then mark your face.
Well,
Troublemaker. He's a troublemaker.
but
that's what
that's
you do.
that's the point I'm making. That every day you can, when you step out, you're gonna see many things that could cause you to stand for righteousness,
But
for
let me put something.
Your
on the
Daniel moment.
Yeah, but let me put something on the table. in
Put it
regards
on
to
the table.
Which is this. You can't make the decision in the moment. You have to predetermine in your mind who you are and what you stand for. Because outside of that, in the situation when your knees are quaking,
you'll choose fear.
You'll choose fear.
The most imminent threat is what you'll respond
Flight or
to.
fear, yes.
Yeah, and the most imminent threat that came up to that, okay, in Daniel's case, a law was passed that says for the next 30 days, anyone who pray to a god, whatever, other than to the king, is gonna be put in prison. Lion's den was the consequence. So that law is passed. And maybe they give you like 3 or 4 days to settle your mind.
That's how you're gonna do it.
So they say, as of,
So and so. That's how they do
this
it.
is how it's gonna go.
This is what's gonna happen.
And you know that ain't no way you're going to pray to that man. But your custom was to have your window open. A cautious person might close the window and say what I do in the privacy of my room. But if you know right away that that law is bringing you, it's creating a direct conflict
Between
with
what
who
you
you are and what you have displayed, because they were able to set the law that way because of how Daniel displayed it. They said the window open, we can see. We're right by the courtyard. We're just going to look up and see what he's doing. Right. So now, does Daniel? Oh my gosh, I could never betray something that I've already displayed. Does Daniel go in and close the window and say, "Lord, I know they're down there looking. I'm praying secret."
Yes, it's like those 3 Hebrew boys. It's interesting that you've gone back. You know what is one
into
of my
Babylon.
favorite, to Babylon. We come out of Babylon. That is the exhortation this morning.
Yeah.
Do not allow Babylon. That's why the Rasta man them chat down Babylon all of the time. Because Babylon was forcing them to.
It was always causing you to confront
Yes.
and bring conflict between what you believe in and what their system represents. So when we look at Daniel and when we say we want to be like Daniel, we want to be that person who demonstrates our faith or integrity or character, and who, when challenged, stands by to the letter. Whatever I used to do yesterday, I am doing it today. And the threat that you impose on me, meaning you have now said, when I do it, I will be punished. Punish me.
I'm willing to take
Because
that.
ultimately what you're looking at is, do I fear your punishment more than I fear disrespecting my own principles,
My own God.
my own God, what I believe in? No, sir. I have to live with me. So
No.
you can punish me, because when I disappoint me, I can't escape me.
Yeah, and that is a principle of life.
That you can't escape yourself.
You can't escape yourself. You can't escape yourself when you think about it. We see it in Daniel 3, for with those young men. We see it with Daniel later on with the lands then. But then you see that same principle coming up when Jesus says, do not fear. Do not fear the person who is able to kill the body, but fear he who is able to kill the body and the soul. That is the most important thing. And I think for a lot of people who are listening to us this morning, you're in the bus, you're in your car, you're listening in terms of your workplace. You might listen to this broadcast after we're off the air. You may be in England, in the US, in Canada, wherever you are at.
South Africa.
Yes,
hello.
in South Africa. What is happening is that you have to make a choice. We come back down to the question of choice. What do you choose to do? The prophet and the leader Joshua says,
choose ye this day.
Choose ye this day who you're going to serve. Are you going to serve the God who has come forward in so much power and has demonstrated his goodness to you? Are you going to just do otherwise? But are you always making choices?
Choose life.
Choose life.
Because at the end, that's what we say. Choose life.
That's life.
Always it at the end.
Yeah, man. Choosing life.
I'm so anxious to invite the prophet, who is looking so studious over there, to come sit with us. Maybe we should just introduce him before we take the 7:30 break. What do you say?
Yes, we'll do that.
Yeah, you're up to it. All right. So we did tell you that our first guest would be Prophet Ricardo Brown. New Destiny Fellowship is the ministry that is partnering with another organization, HANDS. HANDS means Health and Development Services, and they have a medical mission right now underway in Jamaica. And Pastor Percival, who is very well connected, was fortunate enough to catch them at midnight and get someone to show up this morning. So welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Listen to the preaching voice, no?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
It has to have a rasp at the end. I hear it. And you are Jamaican too.
I am more Jamaican than I am American. I am a born American. But I've been coming to Jamaica since I was 5. And I would travel 2 times a year. Grandma would have us come for Easter and Christmas regularly, or summer and Christmas. And we'd come and we'd spend out 2 weeks, a month, and those type of things. So I'm very engraved into the culture.
Wow.
Yes.
And your accent sounds
Martha
like
Jamaican.
Grandma made sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, Grandma used to beat me because I would speak patois. She said, "Speak Papa English, boy." But I needed to be a Jamaican.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's an interesting place to start. Percival, come on. I'll leave you to
But
introduce your
Prophet Ricardo,
anointed guest.
Yes,
It's the first you're meeting, Ricardo?
No, I met him.
Yesterday?
Met him Tuesday when he came to church, and then last night again. But I'm a very enthusiastic Jamaican man, but he's married to a Jamaican lady,
Yes.
a beautiful lady.
Yes.
Say, come to Jamaica, come find a bride.
Oh, you met her in Jamaica?
Well, no, actually.
Oh.
My wife is a born Kingstonian.
Yes.
I won't tell you where because she comes from the rough parts of Kingston.
Aye, so you chose well.
But I chose well. I met her in New York, thank God. And this is my wife's first time in over 10 years.
Coming
that
back to
she's been
Jamaica.
back on the island.
Yeah.
And
Is she loving it?
It's been a delight for her. Her father still lives here. Some of her family still lives here. So we're very well connected to them. And of course, we don't want to get no hotel food, box food, and them things that we're going to look for. And that's
Oh yeah, box. Okay, that's good, because if you get it in styrofoam, you must report it immediately. Styrofoam is illegal now.
Right.
But welcome to the Morning Connection. Just a little bit about the program before we go to the break. It's a faith-based approach that Pastor Percival and I take. We speak the principles of the kingdom into everyday life and living. And our listeners have borne with us for well over a year now.
Right.
So we haven't offended anyone too severely as yet. And when Percival said you were here on a medical mission, it seemed like a right fit. So before we take the break, we have like 30 seconds for you to just say a little bit about the communities in which, what communities can look forward to participating in the mission.
Oh, listen to me. As a matter of fact, the endeavor was that the whole Jamaican community, so from Montego Bay straight down would be impacted and affected by this. And so the truth of the matter is we have about 16 doctors that are here, but we are accepting any type of load that can, because we want to touch everybody that we possibly can.
All right, let's take the 7:30 break so persons can then learn how they can be a part of the load. Welcome back, and we are very pleased to have at the table with us Prophet Ricardo Brown, a Jamaican, well, born in the U.S., but Jamaican. You can hardly tell that he wasn't walking the streets of Kingston every day as a kid and going to school at maybe Calabar, or I say Calabar because Pastor is a Calabar old boy, so I don't want to offend him. But just to say that many times our callers and our listeners have expressed some curiosity about what's the Church of God doing in these times of hardship. How are they stepping up to respond to the needs of the people, understanding that love in action and faith without works are things which we say all the time. I'm going to ask Prophet I almost say Prophet Greg. The last prophet in that chair was Prophet Greg.
Oh, wow.
I was going to ask Prophet Brown to tell us a little bit about your own motivation and how it is that you've come to be a part of this.
Wow. So, I've been traveling, of course, to Jamaica since I was 5. And my grandmother has raised me in the church. So it has always been identified that I would be a preacher of the gospel. And so when I started preaching at 12 and I came, and I was 13, my first international ministry was on the island of Jamaica, under a tent. All right, so, and that's regularly my preferred way of ministry. I love tent meetings. And so I had been doing those for years. And so for me, I have a real burden for the people of Jamaica, and I'll tell you why. Because we are a people that are built on the truth of God. We are a people that are built on the reality of God. And we are a people that knows the fire and the power of God. And so for me, in order for the type of healing that needs to take place on this land to be manifested, it is going to take the Church of God coming together and instituting what's necessary for not the church, but for the people. That's my responsibility to the entire body of Christ. So I do that not just here in Jamaica, but anywhere that I go. But that was my first assignment. If I'm going to be doing a mission in I call it my mature state. So all the work that I did, I was young and on fire, running and preaching on everybody's bench and walking everybody's bench. I don't do them things anymore. I try to stay on the floor, praise God. But now in my mature state, I have realized the mandate and the responsibility of the church. And that is, if we're going to shift the world and shift the nations, we're going to have to do it first by people. And so that is my pull to this mission. I shared it with Bishop Weeks, Bishop Thomas Weeks, who happens to be my pastor. And he pastors in Delaware. I live in Houston, Texas. But he pastors me, make sure that I am well and covered, and I am accountable to the things of God and to the works of God. But when I shared with him, he has been doing missions for years, since the late 1990s, and I shared with him my passion and my desire to come to this island. And he prayed for not even 24 hours.
Yes.
And called me back and said, let's go.
Easy
And so
decision.
we're here.
What's the size of the mission?
Well, we've had 900 persons that have registered so far.
And how
we are
many doctors and
We have
caregivers?
16 doctors that have traveled from throughout. We have a particular doctor from out of Trinidad that is leading
Dr.
us.
Agar.
Dr. Agar, thank you very much. That is leading the charge. And we have nurses, and so we have dentists.
And these are all volunteers?
All volunteers. And the service that is being rendered is all free.
Free.
All
So how many days are they giving
So
service?
3 days. So starting from this morning into Friday, and then Saturday, we will end the health fair.
Is it at a fixed location?
It's going to be at 2 Fairfield Road here in Kingston.
Is that where a certain Pastor Percival
2
worships?
Fairfield Avenue, yes, that's it. Yes, and
Pastor know that place.
yes, I know that place. Free medical checks, dental, optometry,
That one,
The
eye
eye
doctor.
the eye doctor, pediatrics, professional counseling.
Didn't I tell you that you
But
must?
eye doctor, So an interesting thing, it's happening. It's called One Love Health Fair and Crusade. Starts this morning at 8:00, and we did what we did because where we are, we went into the communities of Marvel, Waterhouse, Pembroke Hall. On Saturday we did a prayer walk and pre-registered people. So one of the things too, and Dr. Agar said it, he's from Hans, Hans
Health and Development Services.
and he's Trini, and he says I'd go into places like Nepal, he's been to Haiti, he's been to Nigeria, and it broke his heart that hey, I'd sit down and have my lunch, and I'd say all these people would come and they never not ever have anything to eat. So he says one of the things everybody who comes to
Gets a meal?
get something, and they have these gift packages that they're giving away.
Yes.
So is it too late for persons to
No.
You can just
to
come.
participate?
You can just come
Come.
and we'll register you there. We even have some barrels that we've made sure that were packed from the States so that we can come and distribute it out to the community. And hear this, I got to say this. When we started unpacking the barrels, there was a particular doctor that came from the United States that is a part of New Destiny and affiliates with, came and saw the extra need and decided to go and purchase things here on the island so that we can be able to touch at least 30 more families. So we are doing our very best to ensure that we're not just giving healthcare, and we're not just giving you some food to come and eat when you come on the site. And we want to make sure so when you leave, you're leaving with
you're blessed.
something as well. You're
All
blessed.
right. It is a beautiful mission. How often does this kind of thing? I mean, would you be coming back soon? Are
Oh,
you going
yes.
to another part of Jamaica?
Oh yes. Well, my intent,
What's the dream?
I'll tell you this. So the Lord God is good, and His mercies always endures forever.
Forever.
And so the Lord God connected me with Bishop Al Miller, who we understand his power, his influence, and even the grace that God has given him in this country and on this island. But my godfather happens to be Bishop Ruan Edwards.
Ah, yes.
So
my sister is partial to him
Oh,
in the Spanish Town
wonderful.
area.
In
I
Spanish
think.
Town.
Yes.
I'll be with him on Sunday morning. And so it is my intent, when you know individuals that have such heart and burden for this country, it is my heart to connect with them, partner with them, so that every single year we can be able to come, sometimes even twice a year.
More than once.
If we can be able to come and impact the people, we will do so.
And would it be just medical missions or whatever you can conceive of, or as the Lord leads you?
Yes, so I'll tell you this. So now 9 o'clock we'll be having devotion. That's going to be starting, and then at 10:30 we're going to be having some teachings. We'll have teachings on faith. We have teachings on marriages, teaching on your spiritual uplifting, and then at 12:30 we're going to be doing personal ministries. We have the prophetic team that is from Fellowship Tabernacle that is going to be released. We have those pastors and leaders, prophets, apostles that have come from the United States. We want to touch, not just stand on the rostrum and preach and talk, but we want to touch the people, minister to them, pray for their needs one-on-one. And so we'll be doing that. And then in the evenings at 7 o'clock will be joining. There's a pastor, my sister and friend, Pastor Camille McKenzie, that have traveled all the way from Toronto, Canada, to be with us on tonight. She's a native of Jamaica, so she'll be preaching on tonight. And then tomorrow night is the great Bishop Jackie McCullough, who of course is a native of Jamaica, and she'll be preaching tomorrow night. And that by God's grace, if the Lord gives me the fortitude,
Yes.
I will be sharing the word of the Lord on Saturday night.
All right. So let me ask you this, because when I listen, I'm a very visual person. So I am listening, and I'm actually seeing a ship pulling up and some priests getting off, and there has to be some ministering, and then when the ship leaves, a lot of people are in the hold of the ship, shackled and going to a strange place. Is it a prerequisite for one to benefit from this mission that you stay and be ministered to and listen to the gospel? And do you have to go through that, or could I just come in and say, please check my eyes, and I leave?
No, you can definitely get your eyes checked. There's a waiting area.
Yeah.
And so while the waiting area is there, we still want to make sure that you're getting whatever you need personally. So you're not just sitting down, just laba laba and watching.
Yeah.
Mary Jamaican, very sure that
Yeah.
laba, laba.
I'm always mindful of what looks like marrying the gospel to a plate of food, or it's because it's no different than when the politician come with a pack of rice and say vote for me, and I'm just always looking for that
course.
sensitivity,
Of course.
that those of us who are serving the needs of the body and the needs of the mind recognize that you do everything you do out of love,
Yes.
without leaving a person to exercise their free choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. We have to be able to assist everyone, and that's the responsibility of the church. We are a holistic entity. We ought not to just minister to your spirit and say we're ministering to your spirit alone.
Yeah.
Because that spirit affects the whole body. That's why we have to die to the flesh and the spirit comes alive so that it can affect our mortal body. So when we come to minister, we need to make sure that your spirit is uplifted in whatever way. And that could just be getting to know who you are. Sometimes somebody just want to know, just need somebody to just talk to them.
Just have a conversation.
We're not really
Yes.
trying to bring Jesus and throw Jesus down
It's
your
not an
throat.
altar call.
No.
Everything is not an altar call. All right.
Well, this is kingdom we're talking,
Yeah.
eh?
Yes, and the kingdom is about life in all its
it.
diversity, the good and the bad, but just being there to catch someone in the event that they fall. Well, your passion is undeniable.
The Jamaicaness is there.
so, so we'll invite him back, you're saying?
Oh Lord.
When he comes back to Jamaica. But I just really want to say thank you on behalf of the people who are people out of Marvally, Waterhouse, Pembroke, the people who come from Portmore all over, because we've been just sending it out.
So would
Whoever-
persons be coming from Mandeville and country?
I don't know.
Wherever you have churches?
It could be, but you never know.
May I tell
We've
them to
reached
come?
out to tell them to come. We've reached out past Pembroke High School is there, so we've sent it out
Yes.
to them, and Marvally is there. Just reaching out to the communities. We did a prayer walk on Saturday. Just inviting people, registering people. This is happening. Please come, and there's no charge. And it's important. The point he made that we are called to touch people where they are at. And if I'm touching you and you're saying, oh, this person is interested, if you want to know more about why is it that I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you about
Yes.
it.
Yes, if I want to know.
If
If
you
I
want
want
to
to
know.
know.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it becomes important. So, and just the connections that have happened, I call it divine connections, because he was there, touch base with Weeks, thinking on a place, then us, and all of the connections that I've had. I must say a big thank you to the Jamaica Dental Association, who has committed for dentists free of charge with materials to be a part of the mission. We reach out to them.
So they're part of the 16 or it's 16 plus 4?
16 plus those people.
Okay,
who
so they are local.
locals, and we have local
contributors.
doctors and nurses, because you know my wife is part of the team and she's a nurse.
She is?
Yeah, man.
That's how she's spending her leave.
She's serving.
Yes,
So she's
that's
a
beautiful.
part of the. So it's not only overseas, but
Right.
it's locals.
It's a
who-
real
who have
partnership.
committed to
Partnership.
say,
Yeah.
to say we're doing this. These people have come. We make
So
it
that
better.
kind of brings in too the influence of the diaspora, because you're a child of the Jamaican diaspora.
Yeah, and I thought, and a lot of the people,
Yeah.
I was looking in terms of the team that came out of Delaware.
A lot
Like-
have Jamaican connections.
Yeah, and even a couple of the doctors who I've discovered that Hans pulls people from everywhere.
Yes.
They're based in California, but they pull people from everywhere willing to come, and they've been to Nigeria, Nepal with disasters, just Haiti close to us, Grenada. They've just been serving people, and I'm saying,
So
wow.
hands is not just, well, it says health and development. So perhaps they respond to different, because
Normally,
you
but,
mentioned.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to just learn a little bit more about Prophet Ricardo.
Shift.
You're called to the office of the prophet.
Yes.
Because so you're one of God's gifts, Jesus' gifts to the church.
Yes.
How were you activated into service?
Wow. My grandmother raised me, of course.
Yes.
And so I have always, of course, the call has always been identified on my life. I heard the voice of the Lord when I was 5, as clear as day. And I thought it was grandma, but it wasn't her, it was him. And when I answered, him never really respond back, you understand? But I answered. My answer has always been yes since. When I was 12 and I knew, when I was 10, I got baptized at 8. And then at 10, I accepted the call of the Lord on my life publicly. The pastor asked, would I preach until I was 150? I won't go to the whole story because of time. But he asked would I preach until 150, and I said yes. Now of course I'm 10 years old. I went to school and tell everybody I'm living until I'm 150. How long I go dead at 80? I'm going dead at 150. Come I go preach until I'm 150. But that's a little joke. But nonetheless, I started doing that. And here's the thing, I started seeing, I want to say this, I started seeing every other prophet, and I got intimidated because I knew that there was a very unique call upon my life beyond just preaching gospel. And I knew that there was a responsibility to effect change and transformation. Even as a young age, it was my personality. My personality is very flamboyant, as some persons would call.
I would just say infectious.
Infectious. Well, praise God.
Praise God indeed.
But I love to be in the back. And that's shocking to most persons. But that call had always been. So I saw prophets and I saw them moving and prophesying to people personally and calling them names and da 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 da. And for years I begged God for that, and it never came. And I asked God, why wasn't those giftings? And I'm a prophet, and every other prophet is doing that. And he began to show me the responsibility of a prophet back in the day. In the Bible, when they were called, they weren't just called to you personally, but they were called to nations. They were called to people. And whenever they got up and they went, there was change that took place. And I saw that at a young age, the Lord would allow me to go to British Virgin Islands, Tortola, St. Vincent, St. Thomas, St. Martin's, and preach for 1 week. Come to Waterhouse and go to Montego Bay and preach in a Montego Bay, and a gunman did it, and the gunman said, boy, gunman, I lean up on the door and I watch, man. Every time I come off of the pulpit, I go talk to the gunman walk out to the door. But by the time service done, the man come at the altar, I said to him, I said, boy, if you want to live, give your life to the Lord, because somebody will kill you. And the man said, you know what, I'm going to give my life to the Lord tonight. And the man got the square for go sit down. And when the man got the square go sit down, the man get a report said 2 policemen was coming for kill him. And before they could come to find him, somebody find one and another man find the other, and they were taken care of, and his life was spared. And he came to church the next night and said, God spared my life. I'm alive. Let me give my life to the Lord. That's the prophetic mantle and assignment that is upon my life. Anywhere that I go, lives must be transformed. So I started taking on that responsibility. And I started realizing that when I connected with persons one-on-one, and the Lord began to give me insight. Insight of the things that mattered. I remember seeing, can I just, please give me just 1 more minute, because if I, not even 1 more minute, 30 seconds I'm done.
Use it well.
Thank you, please. But I remember I was in Brooklyn, and this is intense. There was a woman that did a change of her gender to become a man. And she was attending church and was coming for so long. And I would attend the church and preach at the church. And the pastor would always say, I don't address him by his man name. I address him by a woman name, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, yes, that's right, and da-da-da. But every time she would come, it would feel like judgment. And one time I was under a tent. He had a tent meeting, and I was preaching. And while I was preaching, the Lord ministered to me and said, don't look at her outward appearance, because I don't see that. There's a deeper depth of her heart. She has repented, and man don't even know. And the Lord began to minister to me, and I went over and I ministered and said, the Lord told me for the last 7 years you have been begging God, almost to the point of suicidal thoughts, because you are sorry for the decision that you made over yourself, but yet the church still has a judgment over you. That night, that young lady's life was eternally transformed, because the church, a man of God, was able to look beyond the external experience or position and go to the place that matters, the heart. and see that you are a person that is after the will and the ways of God, but your flesh overtook you at a time and you messed up. Oh, but the God that we serve is still so merciful that he'll find you right where you are and he'll change you into his image even after you have defected your own. That is the love of God, and that is why I'm alive. And I will do that until the day that I am dead.
150
years.
150 years. Amen. So,
Hallelujah.
yeah, I mean, what you have just said is completely in the vein in which we speak, because the heart is always what God looks at. And you know, we talk about it a lot, how man chooses and what man sees, and how sometimes the church does not step out of their own way and allow the will of God to be. That is not at all surprising. And even here in Jamaica, so I mean, when you come, well, with the frequency that you visit, you already know that homophobia is a part of the national standard.
Of course.
And that we sometimes use the law as a beating stick to, you know, abuse people's rights and so on. This morning I was saying to Lowell, is the producer, I was saying to him, you know, that law which King Darius passed couldn't survive today, because everywhere there are constitutional laws giving you freedom of religion.
Right.
So it would have been unconstitutional. So the world is changing in some important ways, and it's for us to keep up, because God is still directing it.
Yes.
He's still directing it, no matter how confused and you know, dysfunctional it might seem. If he was able to point you in the right direction, a person steps into the church, there's a reason why they've stepped in.
That's it.
And it's for us to see it and not to condemn.
Can I say something?
Sure.
One of the things that I have recognized is we have been preaching a gospel that is divided. We've been preaching and we've been finding particular gospels within the Bible.
Yes.
And trying to highlight them and preach them. And that's not what we ought to do. If we were to preach Holy Spirit, which is kingdom,
Yes.
and which is God. Holy Spirit is the principles of God. When Holy Spirit comes, he comes as a mindset. He comes as a new character, a new persona, a new way of living and thinking and operating. So if we were to preach him, and preach his ways, his customs, then we would, I believe, the church would see the influx that was saw on the day of Pentecost.
Well, the truth is, one wouldn't even be looking at membership. One would be seeing people in their daily walk,
Right.
just manifesting.
Right.
And
what
that's
it's about.
and
That's
that's what
kingdom.
it's
That's
about.
kingdom.
Marketplace.
Yes, absolutely.
Marketplace.
Sure, you would have those who stay in the temple
Right,
and
right,
worship all day, but you would have the vendors and the lawyers and the bankers and all the people living in a more righteous mode,
The problem
because
is-
they understand.
That's why we have, and again we have, so to, when we persons say we are the church, and we talk about the church, one, we think about a building, and then two, we then say I am the church. That's all incorrect. We are the church as a body. So there's a grace that I have, and there's a grace that you have,
The grace that she
and there's
has.
a grace that she has, and there's a grace that he, and everybody have. And when we come together, the Bible says we are a body that is then fitly joined together. So we take our insufficiencies and then make it sufficient, and then we become the church of the true and living God, the called out ones, the ones that represents his kingdom and his authority, and we bring people into the truth and the knowledge of his kingdom and his authority. So then when we talk about the church, again, we're not just talking about those who are inside the four walls.
Yeah.
We're talking about these doctors that have come.
Yeah, and you know, as you speak, I'm being reminded that the reason we are the body is because the head that directs what the body does is.
They look like you want to get him started.
No, I don't want to get him started. No, I say it because earlier Pastor and I were talking about it, the way we speak as people who used to live on a plantation where you were chattel, and we don't say I did this, or I dropped this, or I broke that, or we say it dropped.
Yeah.
The bus left me.
Lord.
We depersonalize because we're not accustomed to even placing ourselves in a position of value. But that right there makes us ideal to accept the leadership of the head, because we understand authority.
Yes.
All right, we got the signal for the break.
Wow,
And
what
it
can we
is-
say as we close
Yeah,
this
we'll
time?
say it in the break.
And you were, oh my Lord. So
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
this is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your
welcome back. And I hope that you are enjoying listening to Prophet Ricardo Brown as much as we are here. And I got to learn a little bit more about him in the break. And I think you would be interested in knowing that when the prophetic fire dies down, there's a man who knows how to make a living.
Yes.
Yes. So you were called into ministry at a fairly early age,
Yes.
and you accepted the call and threw your whole body into it. I can see
Yes.
that just by how you express yourself. But like the Apostle Paul, who, though a lawyer and a fiery man himself in his writing, if not in his speech, he knew how to work and make some. How do you manage?
So, while of course being in 100% full-time ministry, I am a serial entrepreneur. So I have a branding company where we do branding consultations, and we help individuals develop their brand from the ground up. We see your vision and we bring presentation and effectiveness to your brand. And so with that, we also do graphic designing as well. So even the flyer that you see for the One Love Crusade, I had the privilege of designing. I design websites and those type of things. And I have been doing that for over 12 years. I have been focusing on that business. I also have a mentorship program called School of Becoming, where we look at the individual and we look at your life, your holistic, from who you are from a child, even some individuals before you entered the womb. What was that experience for your parents? What was that experience for you? And your life growing up, all of that plays a very keen part into who it is that you will become.
So that's what others are calling life coaching.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So are you certified, or
I am.
there's professional
I am.
accreditation behind
Yes,
those
I
skills?
am. I'm a certified life coach here in the United States, and so I've been doing that. But of course, I also went to Bible school. I have an undergrad in Bible education and in counseling as well. So I do that. Praise God.
Yes. So, but I mean, here we've emphasized that the root word Hebrew for work and worship are the same.
Yes.
And through the work of your hands, you continuously
Oh,
worship.
you're opening me up.
All right, let me just close that.
Let's close that, because the word work also
Yes.
means enterprise.
Yeah.
So when he says faith without works is dead, faith without an enterprise, faith without the proof of, or rather, the proof of your faith. If you don't have proof of your faith, Paul says you have
Fruitless.
faith.
It's
You have
fruitless.
faith, and just dead faith you have, because you need the works, the enterprise, the working of your hands to prove the actuality of your faith.
Of what
Amen.
you
I'm
believe
done.
in. Amen. All right.
I see you Saturday night.
All right. So this is a good point then to just remind everybody how you can get some more of this fire, this grace that is on this young man's life. We're
It's a
pleased
wonderful
to
grace,
have you
yes.
here.
Amen.
And to learn a little bit more about you. Pastor Percival was a student church leader too. Not
How
so,
would it have
Pastor.
different things, yeah?
You've never. There's never been a season of your life when you've not been actively involved
in
in
ministry.
one way or another. So you have
locally.
that in common. Me now, I've been a rebel from the time I stepped out. Rebel with a
Rebel with a
cause.
cause.
Yes.
Do you know that is the title of Franklin Graham's book?
Who
Rebel
is-
with a cause.
who is Franklin Graham?
Franklin Graham is Billy Graham's son.
Son.
Oh, all right. Well,
Yes, so
He
you are
says
rebel
you're
with a
rebel with a
cause. You have good
cause.
company.
Because
if you say so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but people are called in all stripes, all different ways. But it's just refreshing to hear what you're doing.
I'm not
to know
all in
that
people. Could that be my son and your son too? And my
no,
son?
not my son, but definitely your son.
All right, leave it.
praise God.
It's not about age; it's about contemplation.
Contemplation.
He contemplated it; I did not.
No, but really, really glad that you are here with the team, doing the ministry that you're doing. I often say to people, it's about, you just made it. It's about your works, You have the faith, but let us see the works.
Yes.
I know you're working in the community, impacting lives, showing them what God looks like.
Yes.
in
Yes.
terms of what we're doing, and
Yes.
that's such a powerful thing in terms of what you're doing. And more power to you. I see. So you've been to Africa yet?
I have not,
So it's time to go to Africa.
by His grace.
Yes,
But-
Pastor prophesying to you now, you know,
Yes.
so you
Time
must.
to go to Africa
Yes,
and to
I
Latin
receive.
America.
I receive.
Yeah, because what
receive.
you have is so powerful, and the mindset, and God is calling you. You think you're called to the nations, you ain't seen nothing yet in terms of the grace that God is releasing in this end time ministry, in terms of what you have called to. And guess what? We as Jamaicans are accepted anywhere in the world, so the doors are still opening up in different places for you. And thank God for your grandmother who
Yeah.
put it in.
Is she still alive, by the way?
She is.
Oh, so she's back in the
She
US,
is back in
keeping
the
an eye
US.
on.
And God has been keeping her. When they gave her a year to live with no kidney, and we prayed over her life, God spared her and gave her a brand new kidney. And then they said she only would have 2 years with that brand new kidney, and she survived 4 years after that. And so God is a
And
good
continue.
God.
Yes. So was that a kidney transplant?
Yes,
Or
it was a
okay.
kidney transplant.
Okay, okay, because
You see how God provides?
yes, yes.
Shonda. Okay, we're done.
Is the lady named Shonda?
No. That's one of my personal tongues.
Shonda gave up a kidney. Bless Shonda.
Oh my Lord, God is releasing you, my brother. I just see.
But
see it,
you know, there are so many persons who think that when you are that deep in ministry, you're the only thing you should accept is a new kidney from Jesus' hands. But medical innovation and the benefits of the learning that and the wisdom that is released to persons, we must know
Boy,
that
may I
this
take up
God
a
at
whole heap
work.
of time.
Yeah.
But that's why I know
I'll
the
give you
Bible
one
tells-
more.
One more. Because to that point,
Yes.
to that point, this is the reason why I was saying to my wife yesterday, I have a mindset, right, where I tell people money is the last thing I think about. I don't really care about money. And most people really try to chew me down because they say you're
No,
young
no,
and
you're
you
in
don't
good company
understand
here.
money and-
It's all right.
But
That's our philosophy.
I have learned, the Bible says, take no thought for tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? So I said to my wife yesterday, when I say that I don't care about money, that means that if it is that I have a need, God will send a contract for me to be able to work. It's not that Him just going to cause the money to drop out of the sky.
Right. It's
You
not
understand?
miracle money.
It's not going to be miracle money, but He's going to send a way that's going to be able to be utilized by the grace.
Yep.
So He makes
Because He's a
way.
God of industry.
Because He's a God of industry.
So-
So we gotta know that.
Yeah,
When we're looking
yeah,
for
yeah.
God, we know He's gonna drop it, and the gift and the ability could be in you,
I don't know
worked
it.
out through you, and you don't
Discovery
even
time
And you
come,
don't.
discovery
yes,
time
yes,
come.
Yes. I mean, I've kind of created a theory for myself when I'm trying to move things and it's not moving kind of instantaneously. I realized, I said, if I were in a desert where there was no way for me to get this done, then it would be instantaneous. But I must have the faith to keep stepping out and working it. So you can get healing immediately if that's all that God is going to use.
And
But if
that's all
He's
that you
put a
need in
doctor
that
over
time.
there, or He put a medication there, or He has done something, look to it
It's powerful.
and stop sort of limiting
Yes.
God into doing it in that
in
flamboyant
a
way
box.
all the time. You put Him in a box.
If
And
the
you get
prophet-
lazy now. You don't
Yes.
want to work anymore. You just want it in your lap.
If the prophet tell us you're going to travel, hello, go get your passport.
Get your passport.
Don't say I'm
Yes.
on a plane with a passport.
or that it's going to be like Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch.
Translation. I tell you.
Show up in New York out of
Right.
nowhere. Oh God,
Yeah.
trap me
If
here.
that's
No
the-
man, go get your passport.
If
and
that's-
the ID. And take the plane. You have to get
Yeah,
a ticket.
but understand that if the only way that he's gonna get you to do what needs to be done right away, then astral travel it will be.
Yes, exactly.
So
That's the God
I
that
He's
we serve.
understand
possible
that
of
it is
doing
po-
that.
Of
But
course,
you got
of
to
course,
know
of
the
course.
full possibilities and
Yes.
realities
Yeah,
of God.
right.
And He's a God of law. Amen.
Yes.
And He's not going to move outside of naturality when He has to use the body to be able to execute His
Of
will.
course, of course. There is
Amen.
structure
And
in,
you gonna
in
wake
what
up
he
the
does.
money.
Me know, me know, me know, me know, me know, me know. I see Pastor Kavan waiting.
I'll see you Saturday night.
All right. All right. Well, let's bid goodbye to
Thank you.
Prophet Brown. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
I know your mission has already enjoyed tremendous success. We don't have to wait until the third day.
And watch what God is about
And
to do in your own
yes,
personal
yeah.
life
All right,
Receive.
Pastor.
and
It's all yours.
situation.
Yes,
And
I
so,
receive.
as we close, One Love Crusade happens, Health Fair Medical Crusade happens this weekend at 2 Fairfield Avenue. Just come on down. We have pre-registered persons, but we are still taking persons because we expect for God to extend it and to multiply the two fish.
And it is
God
what?
love.
Eye care, body care,
Eye care, dental,
and dental care.
pediatricians, professional counseling, and ministry.
Ministry.
To the
Ah.
spirit. So we have 3 nights of ministry. Tonight is
Tonight, Mackenzie,
Mhm.
Pastor Camille Mackenzie,
Friday is
Bishop,
Jackie McCullough.
Jackie McCullough.
And then Saturday night.
yours truly by God's grace.
Amen. Bless him, my
Yes.
brother. Move
It's
forward.
been a
Thank you so
real
much.
pleasure. Thank
Thank you for having me.
All right.
All right. How do we say goodbye? You're just gonna be left with Parsi and Minette.
No, but then we have JPS lining up to come.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
my friend is coming. Bless you. All right.
Yeah. If
Better.
I didn't see Pastor Kavan waiting, I would have just stayed with the prophet until the break,
Yes.
so we wouldn't have to say goodbye to him.
Wow, what a time. That was more than
More than you bargained for.
well, I am
Delightful. Yeah.
delightful and just not just enthusiasm but the wisdom in terms of the real life examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he is of tender years.
Yes.
For the listeners who are wondering what we mean by tender years, he's not yet 30,
He's not yet 30.
but he's more than 25,
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. But I thought of when he says at 5, he heard God calling him. And he think he was his grandmother.
Yeah,
He's coming like Samuel,
Samuel.
the prophet, and
Yeah.
his call. And he thought it was Eli. And Eli had to point out to him and say, no, it's not me. And his grandmother. That is the importance of adults and seniors in your own life.
Oh, we were talking about transfer of knowledge yesterday. Oh, but that was not on air. Yeah, we had a conversation about transfer of knowledge. Just recognizing that for the wisdom of the ages to move from one generation to the next, the people who have it need to hand it over. We have a problem handing over.
Yeah, that is a challenge we have.
Yes, we have a problem.
You're fearful. You're told
Yeah.
that you're not going to. It's not going to happen.
We think we're going to become irrelevant
But
after
you
we share. I went through it when I was a young attorney in a law firm of some size. I got to the point where I was seeing how the senior lawyers were
wife
just
up the
holding
knowledge.
on
They
to.
wife up the knowledge.
They
So we
didn't-
wife up
well,
the-
not even the knowledge, because we had the knowledge, but you have to bring people into your network so that the wealth of that network could continue in the firm from one generation to the next. If you don't introduce a young person into the relationship, then the relationship will die with you.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah, so that's what I was seeing, and I started to lead a conversation about the necessity for senior people to introduce young people into the relationship so that the relationship could be handed over. So in other words, now if you are an attorney of a certain distinction, when you go to a meeting, you have a junior person with you, and if you're meeting with a senior person in another organization, that senior person have a junior person with them. So the two juniors build a relationship, because the two seniors are going to retire and pull away, and you continue it
The
like
guys with them.
Yeah, so it's like a relay and a baton change that takes place seamlessly and painlessly. But persons were looking at the earning
Power.
potential within the relationship and not wanting to share.
You know,
Just saying, that's how great institutions die. They die when people who are in their moment of power don't begin to train and hand over so that the younger ones can pick up the relationship and move forward. You see, like what they're doing in politics now, where you just take up a green somebody and bring them in and plop them in a chair and think that you're addressing
people a
diversity
service.
No, what you're doing now is creating an opportunity for chaos, because the new somebody who have no training and who doesn't walk into an environment that is nurturing and giving them what they need to carry on, they begin to make up their own rules. And so each generation just set its own limited timetable based on what it thinks is important at that time of
You
the
miss
day.
the wisdom of
And
the
you
earth.
absolutely,
Because-
and you don't get longevity, because no policy, nothing survives for longer than the people who give birth to it.
Oh jeez.
I know me wake you up too. Oh, this is my day of waking people up.
Oh my lord, oh my lord.
Yeah.
You see it in the church.
You see it everywhere.
You see it in
Everywhere.
you've seen it in politics. You've seen it in businesses that work there and just die.
Yep, you see it everywhere. We say poor succession planning, but it is not just succession planning, which sounds like, some kind of work-related activity. It
See it
is.
in families,
It is
passing
just.
on legacies.
It starts from the family.
Yeah.
This business of not respecting and not sharing.
The elders.
Yeah.
So
And it's our fault. When I
can
say
bring it
our
closer
fault, I
home,
mean,
my
yeah.
my children say, Daddy, we've heard this story before. I say, it's all right. I keep repeating that story because I want you to learn the principles, what I learned. And so it's instructive for me,
that's the transfer.
the transfer,
Yeah.
because, and it's a principle in Deuteronomy 6:8. Deuteronomy 6:8, it says, how you going to do the transfer? When you walk,
Teach them.
when you sit down, everything you need to tell them about what God has done. Deuteronomy 6:8. And that principle is a principle that it can transfer.
It's enduring,
anywhere.
man. It's
Just
enduring.
pass it on to them so they understand.
There was something that came up, and I said I was gonna share it,
No, but and we do
of a
it
similar vintage.
in terms of what's happening nationally.
Yeah, it was from Leviticus, I think. Let me see
But
if
that
I marked
principle of
it.
transferring, of teaching, of passing the wisdom on,
Yeah.
of causing your children to understand the principles of why you do things. Some of the time them say, oh, Dad, you've said this before. But until you get what I'm saying to you in terms of the principle, because that's how I share in terms of with my children, what is the object lesson? What is the teachable moment that I'm passing on to you, that you can learn it? And I'm so glad, I'm so grateful that somehow my children are beginning to get what Daddy's saying, what Mommy is saying, because they think we're miserable now. And this is what has happened in a lot of homes, The breakdown in the family, because people have not spent time to say, no, I'm going to be vulnerable with my children. I'm going to be haunted. I'm going to tell them, say, you should do that too, But it never did work out. Like I tell you the joke about my son and the Christian girl. You remember that one?
Oh no, don't say it on air though. I give you free advice. Don't say
My
it
son
on
was saying
air.
that. I said, but I was saying something.
Big question for you, Pastor.
Yeah.
Earl Brown says, speaking about age, Pastor Palmer, what is your age?
Old enough.
Jackie Biggs, thank you so much for shouting us out here in the morning. Early now. She say, I love your surrounding. Blessings. We love it too. That's why.
You could do the show from here every day, but probably do it.
I don't think we could swing that one.
But what is,
All right, so Pastor, let me just give Earl Brown some respite. Pastor is way younger than you. Way.
Yes, we're younger than you, but it's still, I tell
But him always going like he old. That's what Pastor's thing is. He old up himself.
you all up myself.
You old up yourself, I'm
I
telling
think
you.
it's the wisdom of the years.
No, that's not the wisdom of the years. That's bad posture and not enough exercise.
That's what you think it is.
Yes. It can be fixed like that. It can be fixed. It can be fixed. But still, your wonderful personality shines through. So we just tease you about it. All right. So in the next few minutes, but where is Miss Marilyn? She's usually so prompt.
Yes, yeah, but
Yeah, when we come back from the break, we should be joined by our JPS guest. This time, JPS is going to be telling you how you can win up to $2 million by December.
oh wow.
Yeah, $2 million of JPS money is worth like $6 million of anybody else money. It's just a blessing to win something from JPS.
Yes, I did
yeah,
work
she's
it
gonna be
hard.
talking to us about their effort to move persons onto the prepaid service. I think the prepaid service is quite an innovative and useful thing. And anybody who can manage their budget that way, go for it. Well, they're creating some incentives to get people onto the prepaid service. So she'll be talking to us after the break. I'm expecting to see her
Any
come
moment
around the
now.
corner any moment now. And then when we're done with that, we'll spend some time with someone from Statistical Institute of Jamaica as we learn a little bit more about the census, why a census, what you can expect when you come across them, and the importance
Of the census.
of the census to planning and so on. We complain a lot
Forecasting.
about what is not happening in the country in terms of access to services and so on. So it would be a blessing to
Yep.
have some additional information on
And
that.
as
It's
we come
time
up
for the
on
break.
Yes, it come
Yeah.
up on the break. Yes, it's
We're going to our break now. Oh, welcome back. Ah, I tell you, yes, Pastor Percival does not cease to give us surprising information in the break. None of it you can hear. It would cause all kinds of trouble. Yeah. All right. So, Marilyn is on her way. Traffic has managed to
No, but
impede her progress, but she's gonna be here, and we'll have our time with JPS in short order.
But you know,
But we were
talking
reflecting on
succession and the passing of
information
wisdom
from one
and
generation
wisdom from
to the
one
other.
generation.
Yeah.
And as we were commenting on the break, one of the Earl says, "Oh, old is past
Yeah.
person."
Oh, yes,
And
that's
they'll
true.
say, old enough, but one of the things is that I enjoyed the company of elderly persons when I was growing up.
I gotta tell you what Earl said. Earl said, Pastor Percy, Pastor Palmer, you know about the Rangoon rice. That's what have me guessing your age. I never ever hear about that rice.
No, he mentioned
But-
it yesterday. He
Yeah, but you
mentioned
knew. You
Yeah,
knew about
yeah, man,
it.
because of the interaction
Yeah.
with mature person. The people like
Yeah.
you, it's called ageism now. And they say,
If you discriminate and you
Yeah.
treat them offensively, which that should have been so all the time.
because
To either to and ageism works, although it is the older people who suffer more from it being used as a weapon. Still, young people suffer from it too,
also.
because we dismiss them too quickly. I say, I'm too young. If the listeners could have seen the youthfulness of that young man who was here, speaking as he did, but speaking words that defy his actual chronological
him
age.
granny grew him.
Yeah, so I would say
he
granny
told
grew
us that his grandmother grew
very
him.
close to his grandmother, and so we began to talk about how organic and seamless that transfer of wisdom is
Has to
when
become.
you are drawing it, pulling from it in a relationship. You're close to your
intentional.
elders. You're spending time with them. You learn how they think, how they assess risk, how they move. And so I'm going to tell you now that the keys for wealth are transferred in that process.
True.
It's not transferred when you sit down and read a book and come up with some get rich quick scheme or whatever it is. Wealth that will survive from generation to generation, the keys to it move through the relationship in an invisible way that you cannot track or map. Some people get cute, and in the final, what they assume to be their final years, they require that the grandchildren or come and spend time in order to get the
Set up
inheritance.
trust. That's
And
it.
you know
You
they
don't
have,
get it
they even
until
make
you just-
movies about it.
Yes, you don't
Yeah.
get it until
You can't get it unless you spend a year in the company or you live with it or whatever it is. It is an attempt to have the keys passed from one generation to the next.
Have you think about how some of the times the elders set up systems to ensure that their wealth is not wasted? You see a lot of movies about this guy seeking to come into his wealth, but he have to get married and all
Yes,
them
yeah.
things.
You have to have family and be settled or work in the business.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is what
These are all attempts.
to ensure that what they've spent time working on is not lost. But the principle that I
What you had said, Deuteronomy 6 verse 8,
yes, Deuteronomy 6:8, that in terms
that is the principle.
of passing it on, spending time, being intentional about it, passing on the values that you have. And I remember Maxine said it. One time she was here and we were just talking about a simple thing of sitting down and eating together.
Yes.
And she said she wished
She had used that dining table at her
long time
house.
is
Yeah.
is an elder say to her, it said, no man, you don't cook and tell them, but no man, you eat together. Because I've learned, passing this on to everybody, when you sit down and you speak together and you have the banter and you laugh and you're building relationships, you're teaching them to trust, you're teaching them to be able to communicate, and I could go on and on in terms of things that you are passing on, principles that you are inculcating in your children that will serve them well. And guess what has happened? The Search Institute out of the States came up with 40 protective factors for young people. And a simple one was when children spend time eating together, their parents were less at risk for pregnancy and
Yes.
alcoholism and those things. So, yeah.
So I felt like just pulling up the Deuteronomy reference that you made, because I speak about it all the time too, but the fullness of it is to be understood as connecting that kind of relationship with the growth of wealth, prosperity. So here's the fullness of what Moses said as he was making his phenomenal goodbye speech, which took up all of Deuteronomy. The second reading of the law is what Deuteronomy is. Starting from verse 6. Actually, starting from verse 3.
Yeah, that's where it's
Hear, Israel, and be careful to obey, so that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in a land flowing with milk and honey.
Well,
Just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Of course, the people literally did that.
they literally did that because it's the people still even modern day.
Yes, with the phylacteries, they're called.
Yes.
Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. When the Lord your God brings you into the land he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you a land with large, flourishing cities you did not build. And he continues. But I'm always very mindful of that. The conversation you should be having with your children in your downtime, in your spare time, if you're walking together, if you're working in the fields, whatever it is you are doing, there is a kind of conversation that you should be having with your children that is the passage through which you are passing on these keys to their prosperity and their wealth. We talk about the wealth of culture. This is an important part of culture. You know, I was somehow I had to comment on it recently when we talk about, is God missing from the society? And I reflected that if you apply for a divorce from your partner and there are children involved, and you must put a statement of arrangements before the court to certify that the children are going to be taken care of after this divorce throughout the process, one of the things that you must say is how the children's education and religious education is going to be addressed. We are still mindful that children need to be instructed in certain critical ways. So, you know, I say, well, we're not as far gone as some people may think we are. And even if persons don't apply their mind to it in any fulsome way, still it is there for those who want to give consideration. You know what it does is, if you're with an attorney who's preparing the documents for you, the attorney is supposed to interview you and discuss with you the necessity of putting arrangements that a court can certify as being fit for these children, as you know, the relationship falls apart. All right.
Interesting that you raised that point, because I think the greatest casualty of the divorce are the children most times. That's food for thought. They really are. And the greatest casualties are often the children. Yeah,
well, I mean, you're right. Most time, mommy and daddy go off to do exciting and fun-filled things with a new partner, but the children lose that one place where the two people who brought them into the world.
One place. I like what you said. That one place.
Yeah, but I mean, many times you recognize too that place was a place of trauma and horror, but at the point where the parents are saying, let's pull it apart, it's important that they apply their minds to the instructions that the child.
I might not like you again as an individual, but I'm doing this for the child or the children. Let not what is the word? I'm trying to find the word.
Our breakup. That's what it is.
Our breakup affect the children.
Yeah, we're not divorcing the children. We're separating from each other. But you know, I had an experience of meeting a couple. They had maybe 2 kids together, Mr. Kids, yes, children. 2 fluffy little goat babies, they had two children who were no adults.
Yeah.
They got divorced in their adult in when the children were all grown. They are the best of friends.
Yeah. I know about that.
But what I'm saying, is that although they did not get divorced with acrimony, they got divorced because, in their way of thinking, two people who are married should have a certain type of affection which is higher than or different from brother, sister, best friend. And they had just become best friends who, but there was no intimacy,
There was no fire.
And they continued. I met the two people, like, it was amazing to me.
They were answering each other
Two
questions.
Jamaicans,
Yeah,
and
man.
they're Jamaicans, but white Jamaicans, living abroad and had been living there for a long time. And she was teasing him about his Cuban girlfriend. And I'm looking like, what world are we in? Where is the vexation and you are not a good partner to me? No, they just couldn't see themselves continuing into true old age with that kind of ashes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but they still had joint accounts. She was still the name on his emergency thing. I mean, if he's
they're friends. They're my friend.
yes.
They're my friend. They're my friend.
Can you imagine that, though, Pastor? I think it's
my
because they were
parents
white
were-
Jamaicans.
No,
Me
no,
not see
no.
no black people.
No, man. My parents were divorced.
Yes.
Yeah, but they were still friends. If we want to find anything about our dad, Mom would be the person who would give us the information.
And they were best friends and hung
Yes.
out together.
And
And
they were still friend, man. Good friend. Yeah.
so why they got divorced?
If you ask you that, you know.
Percy don't know. The producer said Percy. Sometimes it is the children that spoil the marriage.
That's true.
we were good until the kids came along.
That is a possibility.
the
That was
children,
me,
they broke
choice.
up the
I
marriage.
couldn't have been me. I was in the wash belly. Yeah, but it's one of them things. But we're still friends.
I think we're gonna maybe shift around the time slots because Marilyn is not here as yet,
I better
and
ladies here.
I need to look out for our statistical or lady from the Statistical Institute. Can you recall participating in a census, Percy? The last one would have been 10 years ago. That would have been what now? 2012.
Where was I in 2012?
2012. I was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
2012. 12.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
So you participated in a. Were you aware that
man.
it was a census? Were you following all of the
Yeah, man. Yes. Yeah.
all of the public? She's given me a lot of information, just to give us, a context for it. What is interesting about this census is that it's taking place at a time when the use of technology
Powerful.
is a predominant feature, and even just I think training the people to go out in the field with the devices because they are using tablets. For the first time in the history of the census, Staten will be using tablet computers to record household responses. So that looks like Sasha Gay.
Look like she heard you calling her name.
I called her forth.
Yes, she just appeared. She just came around the corner.
So I hope Sasha brought one of the tablet computers so I could look at it. The use of technology is going to be a big feature in the census this time around. So please expect them to have The part that is interesting to me though is I guess they don't require connectivity. Just be a software because we now have connectivity all over the country to allow, communication on the internet
But
when you're in some far place.
Oh, when you're in Woy or back of God. Those people are involved in the census taking the back of God because
Of course.
we need that information
You
more
remember
than anything
they
else.
live in Jamaica.
Yeah, so
Yeah. And the areas they're gonna be counting people in their usual place of residence on the keys or the keys.
the
They-
keys.
the
Okay.
keys.
So the man who at
Yeah.
Pedro Keys
Pedro
and so.
Keys.
Oh, they're going about.
Those on the military camps and police training schools and police barracks, etc. What about the prisons?
I think they're gonna do that. It's a part of that too. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
Or them just take the numbers from the.
You don't have to go on. They don't want to hear about the conditions in the
Oh
prisons.
no. Well, it's an interesting question. Or they just.
She will tell me
Or they
when we come on. Yeah.
Right, but is that her?
Yes, I believe that is Miss Sasha Gay.
Yes, so
Um,
she can come there.
Right. So we do want to know what happened to the people in the prisons. Are they being counted? She will explain why it is that we conduct a census, but it does make sense that. Yes. Yes. All right. So we're. You see, like
You know,
every
you're
Jamaican,
moving at the
she
spirit, you know.
she born ready.
You're moving at the spirit.
I do move in the spirit. Does it surprise you, Pastor Percival? My redhead.
The 19 come on top of you.
You mean some of Pastor, some of the
Ricardo.
prophets, Ricardo's anointing?
Came on top of you.
The anointing breaks the yoke.
Yes. Wow, good morning, my dear lady. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you. How
Good.
are you?
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Oh, the microphone isn't on as yet for her. So we missed your awesome. We're good to go now? Welcome, Sasha Gay.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's my pleasure. I was hunting you for at least a week. And would you believe it?
So long?
This lady consented to being here last night. She born ready. And then sent me some fabulous treasure trove of information that I know I'll be pulling from as listeners call us and express their concerns about, what's happening with the census.
And their fears.
All right. So you are a senior information and research officer with the Statistical Institute of Jamaica.
Yes, I am.
But how come you're senior? You're so young and
Don't let that fool you.
Tell us how it goes.
Let him just answer.
Tell us how it goes.
Sorry.
Yeah, he does. What is My dear, welcome to the Morning Connection
Thank you for having me.
I never said
on Thursday mornings. We just kind of flow freely. As I said to you, it's a conversation.
Sure.
And the conversation with you began several weeks ago when a caller said, I keep getting these text messages, and then he concluded it was a scam. Because,
Is it a scam?
No, it was not a scam. We have partnered as part morning listeners. So we have partnered with Digicel and Flow to assist us with our public education campaign. So we are sending out, we sent out, because that campaign is closed
finished,
now.
yes.
So we sent out SMS alerts and messages to customers across Jamaica on both networks on different dates. Telling them about the census. So we sent different alerts at different times. So there was alert to make them aware that we've started data collection. There was an alert for Census Day, which was September 12th. That is the reference point for the census. That's the point at which we'll ask you the questions on the questionnaires. So we sent them notifications then, and we sent them a reminder just to cooperate with the census taker. I am aware though of an instance where one of the networks, they sent the same message multiple times. That would have been an error.
Yeah, it felt like they were
Person-
spamming you.
Right. So maybe that was one of the reasons why they felt that way, but that was an error on that network.
We're just
Right.
being a
And-
good corporate citizen.
and you made them
just
pay
make
for it.
sure that we send
And
it.
what we did for each text message was to send a link to our census website. So maybe persons are a little wary of
Yes,
clicking on
because
links.
one or two persons clicked the link and it
Right.
said it took them to like a lot of questions.
It took them perhaps to the frequently asked questions on the website.
Yeah.
But I can understand that the reservation rather.
Yes.
In trying to click on a link and going somewhere where it just shows you questions, but really and truly it is safe for customers to click onto that link or for them to even visit census.statinje to read up more on what is happening with the
Can you say
census.
that again, please? Slowly.
Census.
Yes.
.statinja.gov.jm.
Right.
Okay. And it has the normal HTTP.
Yes, it does. Right.
backslash.
But the
even
link
if you
is
go
there.
to statinja.gov, that's our corporate website. There is a tab there that can take you straight to the website, to the census website as well.
So can you that way? So,
So
if I go to
that's-
the website, I can just answer questions about myself without you coming to me.
No. So we have explored online responses to the census. We are not at a place yet where we're comfortable to have that done in Jamaica based on past testing and quality monitoring that we've done for other surveys. When COVID came around in 2020, we did a joint survey with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. It was called a Knowledge, Attitude and Practices Survey, where we're trying to ascertain information about the number of persons in Jamaica who have internet access, especially where children were concerned, or the extent to which it was affecting the population. And we tried that via phone, and we had a little bit of
Pushback.
reservation and pushback from some persons. The same thing.
So
when persons call them, and we've tried as well for online surveys. We've done other surveys where we tried to ask persons to respond online, and the response rate was really low. So it's something that we did explore. We're not quite there yet for the census, but it's something that we'll continue to work on in terms of online responses to survey.
All right, so I'm going to take you to first principles.
Sure.
What is the census and why?
Oh, let's go back.
Yes, yes.
All
What
right,
is the
so-
census and why a census?
A census is a snapshot of the population, so it takes stock of the housing quality in Jamaica. We need to update the number of persons living in Jamaica. We don't do this by an estimate. We conduct a census every 10 years in Jamaica. So our last census was in 2011, which means that if you're good at math, it really shouldn't be in 2022. It should have been last year, but because of COVID-19, we had to take a step back and assess where we were and try to put enough measures in place so we'd be ready once 2022 comes around, because apparently we're living in a pandemic era. So we had to adjust to how we're going to get the census takers out to each household safely, to teach them about personal responsibility, and to teach them the regular how to use a tablet, how to get familiar with the census questionnaire, etc.
So it is a population count in the first place,
Right.
and it count everybody.
Yes, we're counting every Jamaican.
Yes.
We're counting Jamaicans we're counting Jamaicans. We are counting persons Jamaicans who are of usual residency in Jamaica.
Right.
Right. So we're counting
Unusual
persons on the
residence
keys.
is it calculated in a particular way? You
Yes,
need to be
it
living
is.
here for how long?
You not living here, but you need to be a part. You need to have slept in a household for 4 nights per week, as at the reference point.
Consecutively, and it
Right,
was, yes.
as at the reference day. Remember,
So-
we spoke about census
So there are
day.
two things you're mapping. Exactly where people say them live, because if you have to plan for a community, you want to know how much people in this community.
Correct.
But you're not necessarily mapping how many people live in Jamaica as a whole. It is more specific than that. You want to know, if you're living in Jamaica, where you're living.
Right.
So
it's a
does
little
that
bit
mean I need
technical,
to
but-
stay? Does it mean that I need to find my, if you're gonna come on night 5, since it's
Yes, let that come at night 5.
So does it
and be
mean-
gone somewhere, so you can
yeah, so it means that I need to make sure that I am there in one of my 4 nights when
Not
you're there.
necessarily,
How
no.
do you make sure you catch people at the right place?
All right, so we've employed approximately 8,000 persons to capture the data across Jamaica.
Ah,
It's an island-wide survey.
Right.
If they come to your place of residence and you're not there,
Yes.
they'll return.
They come back on one of
leave
your
a
4
callback
nights.
card, right?
Okay.
They'll leave a callback card, and we'll ask you to get in contact with us. We'll
So
ask
so
to
you
get in
seek
contact
to
with
make
us.
it convenient for the citizen.
Right, because
all
we
right,
need
I
the
love
data.
hearing that.
We
yes.
need the data. So
right.
if they're not there,
yeah.
they will return.
Will they come back?
Yeah, they will
They-
return.
they will
Or
return.
if it is and that's the reason why we leave a callback card as well.
Right.
Because we don't want to just aimlessly be back and forth at your premises, especially, remember, no, we're not sure if you don't live there, anymore,
Right.
So we're going to leave a card there, and they may come back as well. And when the census data collection period ends, we also do a post-enumeration survey.
So what is the period of the census?
Data collection is from September through to December.
Or say it's a 3-month window that we work
Oh,
for.
so
Or
you're-
4-month
Right.
window.
So you're inundating the island with your people, just end to end. Okay.
Over
all right.
that
So we
4-month
right. So we
period.
need to make sure the dogs don't bite them and they
Definitely.
put out an appeal
Do not set your dogs.
on the census
No,
taker.
hold on.
How do I recognize a census taker?
All right, so census takers are trained to come to your household to call. They're not supposed to open your gate and try to come in, or even if your gate is open, they have to ensure that they get your attention.
So will they be wearing
introduce-
garments that's
No, they'll be
distinctive that
getting
Jamaicans
an
need to
ID
know?
card. They have their bags.
Yes.
And they'll come introduce themselves with their names, their ID cards. They show that to you. If you are still not sure that these persons are census takers, you can just log in on our website, place the name that they've told you, or get their ID number into our census verification tab, and it will tell you, it will verify whether or not they are census
So a lot of
takers.
effort is being made to be security conscious, safety conscious, both for the
Definitely.
citizen and for the census taker.
Definitely, because
Alright.
of course we're living in a pandemic era now, so persons tend to ask us from time to time if they have to let them inside their homes. No,
You can do
they
it through the
can
window.
do the survey where
Through the window.
you as a citizen is comfortable. You don't have to invite them into
They
your
just open the
homes.
window
Right,
and say, all right,
okay.
so they ask the question.
So-
If that is how you're comfortable, they'll take the data from you.
So a census taker won't be asking, so how many bedrooms you have and show me.
Not show me.
They don't-
We will ask you and take your response as
Right,
is.
as is,
What
okay.
happens though with our tablet, I know we haven't gone there yet, but with the tablet computer that we're collecting data, there's a logic check that happens.
Yes.
Prior to collecting data on tablet computers, and we were using paper, we literally just had to take what
Just
you
write
said
down
to
whatever
us,
was said.
and we're skipping through papers if a section does not apply to you. With a tablet computer and logic check, we're able to use skip patterns.
Right.
So depending on what you answer, the tablet will push you to the next
To the
section.
next
And
relevant
if it is
section.
not logical or it's not corresponding with something that you said before, it may raise an alarm, and the census taker may be able to go back just to verify what you have
you
said,
have
because it may
said.
have been an error. So it's not accusing you of lying or anything.
Right. Yes,
but it's
because
just
I have one
logically
bedroom,
checking
but it's
what
really
you
10 people who live here.
Right.
So how do you work that out? You're gonna actually, if you have a 1-bedroom house and 10 people live in it, you're gonna count that too.
Yes, what happens for census when we're collecting data, there's a household questionnaire and there's an individual questionnaire.
Okay.
So usually the most responsible person, or what we'd like to call the head of the house, household person, will answer the household questionnaire that speaks the questions for the household, the types of outer wall, the types of roofing, number of rooms, if you have a cell phone, if you have television. And then for your individual questionnaire, we ask you about educational attainment, union and fertility, marital status, your age, your sex, your religious affiliation. All of that information is collected for individual persons in the household.
And that's a part of this census.
Definitely.
Because it is to assist in planning for the needs of the population.
Correct.
As we exist today.
Correct.
All right.
Just one quick question. So
Yes.
we did the census in 20.
We're at our break and getting the signal.
Oh,
Yes. So let's take our station break and then we'll come back and wrap up with Miss Sasha Gay, because I know you're under pressure. You squeeze us in this morning. We're not going to make it painful for you. All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
One important question. You had sent us a information sheet, so you actually check the persons who are in the prisons.
Yes, we do. We count persons in prisons, we count persons on the keys, we count street persons, we count JDF persons living in barracks across the island, we count JCF persons.
And you
Count
make sure you
persons in
don't.
homes.
You make sure you don't double count.
No, we
Because
no,
the
that is
street
something
people
very
might be a little
serious.
tricky.
No, that's something that we take very
After you count them, you put a sticker.
no, we don't.
Put that sticker. You've been counting.
No. We
All
don't
of we
put a
count.
sticker on them to say that they've been counted, but we do count them. And what we do though to monitor and to ensure that we get as much of them counted in the census is to have a night where we call census night.
Yes.
So on that night, we liaise with our various stakeholders. So we liaise with the mayor for each parish. We liaise with the municipal corporation for that parish. We liaise with some security forces as well to help us to go into whether they are living in shelters in the night, because some of them resort to shelters in the night,
Yes.
or whether they're on the street, and we just storm the street, as we'd like to call it, and collect as much data as we can from these persons.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about what one can expect when interacting with the census taker.
Okay. All right. What you can expect when interacting with the census taker, they are trained to first and foremost introduce themselves to you, show you their identification, let you know what they're there to do to collect the data for the population and housing census. They will ask you if they can come into your yard. If they're comfortable with that, they'll never ask you to come into your homes. So you don't have to worry that, oh, you're taking a stranger inside of your home. Once the introductions are done and you've consented for them to continue, they'll go right ahead into perhaps the individual questionnaires. I stated earlier there are 2 questionnaires, so they'll probably find out if you are the head of the household, because if a minor comes out, we do not ask them the questions. We ask the person who is in charge of the household, who we like to call the household reference person, to answer the household questionnaire. And then for persons who are 18 and above, we do an individual questionnaire.
So that means that if you go to a home, there's the head of the household and 10 people live there.
Right.
You do 10 individuals.
Yes, we do.
So what if
they
somebody-
If they are adults.
If they're adults.
Yeah.
What if you decide say no, do it? What will happen?
If you decide that you're not doing the as in everyone or one of the persons in
It's
the
one of the
household.
persons.
If you decide that you're not
Answering the questions.
answering the question, we'll try to use moral suasion. If that census taker is unable to get the data from you, they can report that to their supervisor, and the supervisor will then return to the household at another time to try and get that information. Supervisor is still not getting through, we'll try with our area manager. We really need the data, so we don't try to use
You don't
law
give up.
enforcement.
You don't give up
Right,
easily.
by law, we are to get the data, but that's not something that we go over a person with a hammer and a sledge to say, hey,
A big
you have to
stick.
give me. We try
But-
to
but-
use moral suasion.
But if you went the full distance, you could have a person charged for
Yes, we
refusing to cooperate
Right.
with the.
Yes, by law.
There's an act
By
that
law.
governs what they do. So this too is an opportunity to
Yes,
encourage.
it
Yeah. Well,
Don't want that.
your stay in prison would be extended based on your refusal
No,
to
but the
give
thing
them
is,
your
remember now,
information.
and then even when he gets to prison, we'd still get it
They
from
count
the
him,
person.
right? That's
We'd still get it from
as a prisoner.
That make no sense.
still get
Because we just give them
It
the
is
information.
futile, futile to resist. So there's the expectation that whomever is the reference person would give honest information, like how many do you have children
That
and
is
so on and so forth.
Important
Okay.
for us. We want honest
Answers
information,
to the questions.
Honest answers to the questions that, because the thing is, what you find is that when persons don't respond to the census questions, the census is the biggest baseline survey that is conducted for a country.
For any country.
For any country. So we're not just talking in the context of Jamaica now. For any country that you go to, the census is one of those data tools that collect the most information on any and
Yes.
every topic. We collect
So-
information on transportation, on garbage disposal, on union and fertility.
Yes, on planning
Every-
how many
so
things
that
you
is how
need.
you get to plan.
School population,
That's how you
even
get
how
to
many
plan for the
passports you're gonna need
population.
next year because people are coming into their
Yeah, we
own.
do collect
Yes.
migration information.
Yes. So citizens need not be concerned then that the information is going to the tax authority.
No,
to the
definitely
to needs.
not. Once
Let's.
you are employed to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, you take an oath of secrecy, and if we find that you have shared any information inappropriately or any at all, as a worker, whether you're short-term, temporary, you can be charged.
You can be charged.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
they told
so
me
the
I would get
worker,
locked up.
no,
Whoever
no,
can get
you and the
locked up.
census taker would be next door. But I think it is just a concern that when government does things, whatever you give to one arm of government becomes available to
No,
the other as
remember,
a
no.
weapon.
So what we want to establish is that we share information with the government and other stakeholders in a statistical format only.
Right.
We do not
Okay.
share your name. We do not share your
Raw
age.
data.
We do not share the raw data any at all. And even within Statistical Institute of Jamaica, only a limited number of persons will have access to that data.
All right. All right. That is
Say that
good to
again.
know. Be
Say that
comforted, Jamaicans,
Only
and
a
join in the
limited
count.
number of Statistical Institute of Jamaica employees will have access to your raw data. We'll only disseminate in statistical disaggregated formats.
Yeah, that's the numbers.
Just numbers.
Oh, and
just
important.
nothing identifiable to an individual.
And they will not be taking fingerprints
No, no,
or
no,
photographs.
no,
This is
no.
not NID sneaking into your house.
No, it is not. We operate
Yes.
individually outside of any other government entity based on what it is that we're doing.
That
It's
you're
very
doing.
confidential that we do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Sasha Gay.
Thank you for
And
having
thank you
I
for
me.
coming
really
on short
appreciate.
notice.
Yes,
And she
appreciate
presented.
it.
You seen her? You see her? Thing? She's on there. Such a very pleasant and beautiful young lady.
All right. That is a grace that will follow her all the days of her life.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so
very
much.
I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
All right, Sasha Gay, thank you again.
welcome.
All right, so Miss Marilyn is here, having fought the streets of Kingston to get to us, and we do appreciate her persistence because she is giving a few lucky Jamaicans the opportunity to win up to $2 million this Christmas
JP
as
is
they
gonna run lot up
participate. Yeah, I'm sure with permission. I'm sure they have permission. Percival, there's a
There's a
a
clip.
creature flying around us that I need you to speak the word.
Wendy.
Well, apparently you spoke the word.
No, sir.
Yeah. All right. So we're switching gears. I want to know how to win $2 million by December. So you see how we waited patiently
We waited. We win
until,
the lotto.
until
Lotto.
Marilyn could be here.
Win the lotto.
Yes, because
It's so nice to see this lady again.
it is wonderful to see you
We,
again.
we have had radio silence, but that's all right. Nice to see you, Miss McDonald. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am very good. And how is your daughter doing?
She's doing good. I guess she was because I dropped her off at Immaculate and the traffic was.
The traffic was horrendous.
What do you want me this morning?
Yeah,
You reached
like-
late, man.
No man, I came down.
The bus lever.
Bus fever.
No, it's joke.
It's like I tried two different routes. I came down.
Oh, so you lost some time recalculating route.
Yeah, because and maybe just a mere pothole. There's a pothole on Grandspen Road.
A big
No
one.
Grandspen through Ilman there. So it backs up everything. So I turn back there, so I'm going to go through Oliver Road, and that's the cars reach right back to the traffic light. Okay, I'm going Russell Heights, and somebody had to maneuver me through there, but that's good.
No, sir.
Well, you have survived the traffic of the streets of Kingston. So for those who don't remember, and I can't think there's anyone who doesn't, Miss Marilyn Monroe is one of
ma'am.
yeah
we are real to life, man. She
Yeah.
was on
Marilyn Monroe.
I actually called her Marilyn Monroe.
or Marilyn
You know,
McDonald.
Yes, no, the Monroe is because she's so finely dressed this morning.
You never
Marilyn McDonald, the manager of community renewal. We love your community renewal program. I mean, we think it's one of the best things that JPS is
That's
doing.
a nice program.
Yes, second only probably to your prepaid service, which I'm sure
And
it
we
is.
also promote prepaid.
Aha, right. So this morning, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, great.
I think it's a traffic exhauster. Right. Are you still enjoying great success with your community renewal initiatives?
Definitely, and also we have persons actually reaching out to us, but it's a process. But it you have success to one extent, and the fact that it takes a while for culture change, and mindset change. So you have to coax some persons to come along. But I think it's the best way for us to go, really just partnering with our stakeholders and the community at large.
So what you're saying, you've seen an uptick in terms of people reaching out and say, I want the...
Yes, you have actually had communities actually reach out, to say, come into my community.
Wow.
Bring the change.
Yeah, bring the change. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you see, I, for one, always had great faith in my Jamaican brothers and sisters, that when we see a good thing happening, we will avail ourselves of the opportunity to get in on it. And it's always better to sleep comfortably in the night than to be worried that tomorrow morning some disaster wearing a blue suit with a red seam is going to visit you. Well, illegal connections to the GPS network is an
I was trying to
offense.
get a picture
think
of what she was
police.
talking about. What are you talking about? Oh,
Yes, I'm talking about communities
the big boot
wanting
and the
to have
button.
service
Okay.
regularized, so they are not on the wrong side of the contract.
Of the law, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes. You talked about encouraging persons to come on board. $2 million? Tell me about that.
Yes, so we want persons to become customers, and not limited to our community renewal areas, but customers in generally at GPS, and also to use the service of the prepaid meter, because we see where it is a good energy management tool. You budget, you plan better, and persons tend to know how to monitor their consumption better with the prepaid meter. So what we're doing is that we're having this promotion. We started in May and it will run to the end of November, and our grand draw is in December, where we're encouraging new customers to sign up as prepaid customers.
So old customers can sign up?
So our postpaid customers, they have the option to switch from postpaid to
And
prepaid.
that process takes how long?
Well, the postpaid to prepaid,
Like that.
Just like that?
just like that.
In a day, 2 days?
Yeah, you just request it. You go use the My GPS app and you request it. And once also we have a smart meter there, we do that transition within 45 working days. For the
4
prepaid,
to 5.
yes,
So if I applied today, Thursday, and I says, okay, I want to go from postpaid to prepaid, my application goes in, and within 5 days maximum.
yes, right. So you may be fortunate if you sometimes persons are
Never
present
links.
within day or two, but our service standards 45 working days.
Okay.
Right. And for the prepaid customer also, once you have your requirements, your ID, your TRN, the premises is wired and passed by the government electrical regulator, you go on to the system, you sign the contract, and we will come and do the connection. We
Good
will-
to
So
go.
you can sign the contract electronically online?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So just download the My GPS app and you sign the contract online, but you just have to ensure that you have the requirements
To upload
So
to
you
various
photocopy your
things.
ID,
Yeah.
you photocopy your tax receipt or your land title or your proof of ownership. You photocopy your letter of permission if you are not the owner of the property, and the GI, and you can upload.
And uploading it is what? Taking a picture of it and just...
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
because-
just taking a picture of it
Of
and
the GI?
the GER certification,
Oh, that's general.
Government Electrical
Electrician.
Regulator.
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's online, and you sign up, and then you buy your credits. We have a limit of 120 kilowatt hours, because when you look on average, the person with the basic refrigerator and a light or two, the consumption, and you do some ironing or stuff like that, the consumption usually works out to be about 120 kilowatt hours.
And that's priced at what?
On average of about $1,500 a week.
Okay, so persons just
$6,000.
go in and purchase at that. Is there like a minimum block of credit that you can buy,
You
or
can purchase.
you can spend
yeah.
$300?
$300, $100, $200. Yeah.
Wow,
Let me see if I got this right. So you said 120.
kilowatt.
What is that in terms of consumption?
In
for
terms
the-
of usage,
Yeah, for the week.
that's how electricity is measured
Yes,
by
I know
kilowatt.
that.
Right?
You tell him, please, Marilyn.
But it's 120, so I'm hearing so
But she said per week.
per week.
Yes.
No, for the month.
For the
but I
month?
was saying, on average, when you want to top up, you can either. That's what I'm saying. It's an equivalent to around $6,000
For the month.
for the month.
Okay.
So most persons may want to do it in stages, and if you want to top up like
$1,500 for the week. That was the week.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
so now I'm understanding. So
But if you use more, then
prepaid, you can prepaid $20,000, whatever you
definitely.
want. Okay, all right.
Yes,
I'm understanding
yes,
what is
yes.
happening. Okay.
So how is there anything that a customer has to do to be eligible for the spin to win?
Okay. Yes. So once the simple thing, sign up, stay a customer, you top up within the month of 120 kilowatt hours, and
Automatically your account goes into the draw.
Automatically.
Okay.
Your account-
Okay.
your account
Okay.
goes into
So I mean,
the
if
draw.
I sign up here in October, I have
And you buy the credit.
3
Your 3
chances,
weeks.
or is it every time you top up, your chances increase? How does that work?
So because what happened, it's an electrical pull. So once I pull, I'll see your total consumption.
Right.
So if you top up 20 times, if you top up one time, once it's 120 kilowatt hours, and more,
You're eligible.
Just
Ah.
so
Oh, okay. So I wanted to clarify that. So it means that if I pull, so I'm just thinking about myself. So I switched from postpaid to prepaid, correct? I consume, I pay $6,000, I pull that, and I prepay again. So if I do prepay again for 4 times in a month, that's 4 entries.
no, you just get the one entry.
Oh, that you see me
Yes.
I try use my brain on the system, you know, in terms of saying, because if I know that I use 20,000 in terms of, and I prepaid, I said, let me break it down to 6,000 a month. I go 4 times.
Yeah, that's how it
Yeah,
is.
maybe. And that's
Oh,
why
you're trying to
I-
increase your chances.
you know what you can do.
Well, they're smarter than you.
But what happens though, if we roll you back into the draw, once you remain consistent,
Yes.
we roll you back into the grand draw. So what happens, we have monthly draws where you get the opportunity to win monthly prizes. So at the end of this month, there are 5 type of prizes you have the opportunity to win. You have 5 different winners, yeah. So you have the opportunity to win a television, you have the opportunity to win a laptop, you have
A
the opportunity
smartphone.
to win a smartphone.
I
Yeah,
remember that one from
Yeah.
last time.
Only 5 people.
You have the opportunity to win prepaid top up towards your.
Oh yes, like was it
Yes.
like $30,000?
$30,000, and you have the opportunity to also get a supermarket shopping spree of a value of $30,000.
So that's 5 prizes.
5 prizes, and then you also are eligible to
For the-
enter the grand,
the big one.
For the 2 million, you
for the
know,
$2 million.
I encouraged someone to take the prepaid. Her report was that they told her it could happen in, like, if they said 3 days, it was done in 24 hours. So she was very pleased with that.
Thank
And now I'll have to emphasize to her that she has the opportunity to win a prize,
Yes.
because she did that like last month
Yeah.
and she's still on the
I
system.
was really thinking about how we could have.
Oh, you can get in on it. From I hear how you're working it, I realized
But I needed to do that because I'm saying too. So they say so that you can only win potentially. You only have October, November.
and then the grand
the grand draw in December. For the grand draw, you're gonna make all the persons who did it early in the. Is it everybody's
Yes,
eligible
for
now?
the grand draw, once they remain consistent on
Yes.
the average of 120, you will
Of
go
course,
into the
because the
grand
odds
draw.
go up for the higher prize,
Yeah.
so there'd be more persons
Yes.
that would be eligible for it.
And the winner gets the monthly winners also get the opportunity to go back into the
Into
grand
the
draw.
yeah, I figure everybody should
She just
go
mash
back.
up with Just mash
What
up the
was your
chat.
what scam were you trying to devise now, Percy? Let me hear it.
I was asking her really. So that's why I asked about the 120. So I'm saying, okay, 120. Suppose I do
For
120
120.
times 3 times. So say to be
So,
cheap, she said
you
no,
wanna-
just one entry
Yeah.
for the month.
Yeah,
You see, you need
increase
to
the-
clarify that, you know, because
I said 120 per month.
but
though.
that being said, come here, say what? I say I
But
asked her.
Percy,
At least,
but as we are,
Yeah.
we not think anybody sitting down saying, "Oh, me can
can't
beat the
say that.
JPS system
You can't stay
by
there.
putting myself on contract with them, so I can beat their system."
Yeah,
Those
no.
barriers are too high.
Oh my lord, them think about all of them things.
The community renewal program has kind of stayed with me because of the heart that it shows and the effort that you're making to regularize contracts in those communities, recognizing that if you fix one problem, then once the person has the mindset to address that kind of change, they will address other areas of change. So I'm very curious now to hear how you're doing in
That
some of the
ripple
more
effect, yeah.
stressed communities of Jamaica. I mean, you're still in Denham Town.
Well, we're in Denham Town. They're now basically on our system.
Them,
just on our
yeah,
system.
how
But
they
the
mature and you're gone.
but we are in other communities that we have just installed a system. But it's interesting that you should mention the ripple effect, and that's why we encourage partnerships, because we know that culture change is a
long term.
Is a long term. But we have had situations that I have mentioned before where whenever we go in, you always hear them asking for the other communities
Right.
to come in.
Yeah.
And so that is why we partner even with our training programs to see how else we can
And help them.
build the persons in the communities. So for us now, we're in Grandspen, and persons are coming on board. We are in Augusttown, and what is happening in Augusttown now, so we had started the electricity regulation by phases, and now the ZOSO is in Augusttown.
Oh, it's there now.
Right, so you'll find that there are now, so after you have the build out of electricity, you know that they'll be getting improvement,
Roads.
road network,
Water.
Yes.
fencing,
Yes.
housing. So that's partnerships like those that we like. Another good example for us is the Steertown community, where
St. Anne?
in St. Anne,
St.
we're
Anne.
basically just winding up on that project. We did a partnership with in Steertown in partnership with the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, and they would have had other infrastructure developments there. So when we can give a wholesome infrastructure development, it is much more positive for the community.
I like the skills part of it, because I think one of the root causes of people stealing is not being able to have a sustainable livelihood.
Yeah.
And so you go in and you train, and somebody have a skill, whether
Yes.
they become an entrepreneur or they can work for somebody, you have a source of income that is regular. So
Yes.
it allows you to meet your
Yeah.
bills. So the ripple effects are important.
Definitely, yeah, make them employable, and as I said, they can be their own entrepreneurs. So
Yes,
that's what we're encouraging.
Are there any communities that you're looking to enter now that you could say, we're coming, we're on our way?
Can you come?
Okay, so we're looking to enter Granville.
Where
in
is that?
St. James.
That's in St. James.
Oh.
Yes. We're also, we started in Tower Hill.
That's
So-
in the Prime
Is that
Minister's
here
constituency.
in that constituency?
Yes, as a matter of fact, in Tower Hill, we have started to build out the infrastructure there. We're also looking, as I said, to extend, because we did Augusttown in phases, and for we are also in Barrett Hall, that's in St. James.
St. James
also.
again.
We're building out
Right
it. Yeah. We're
All right,
building
so
out
yeah,
infrastructure
we're gonna
there.
take our 9:30 break. When we come back, we'll just look at how the communities can prepare themselves for JPS's arrival with this renewed vigor. Please stay with us. We're gonna be right back. Welcome back. Marilyn, I should tell you that Earl Brown says, I remember Miss Marilyn McDonald's Mona Lisa beautiful smile.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And only me alone.
Mona Lisa.
You know, the
Mysterious.
famous Muna, yeah.
So it must mean it's mysterious and personal. Everyone thinks the smile is for them. So yes, Percival, it wouldn't be you alone.
Yeah, man. I said.
Because that's the quality of the Mona Lisa smile.
Yes.
Not Mona Lisa smile.
No, no.
Say that. I said, every time I read it, you say, I need to double conversation.
Lord have mercy on us. All right, so the JPS Community Renewal Program is entering into some new communities, and I think it would be good for persons to just know you're on your way, and how can they prepare? What should they have, and how can they, kind of make it easier on themselves to participate in the project?
Okay, so outside of community renewal itself, you can be a customer just like that, In once you have your premises wired and passed by a licensed electrician, that's the first requirement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wired and passed by a licensed electrician, you will get that GER inspection report. But just bear in mind that you would have to choose an electrician from the GER portal, someone that is approved by the government electrical regulator. I mean, several years ago, you'd have persons that would engage electricians, and they can't move to the next step.
Not a certified person.
So that's what I really want to make very clear, that we ensure that we engage licensed electricians, and also for you to know that there's another step now where you have the electrical inspector. So, and these are now privatized. Initially, say last year, you would have to go through the GEI. Now you can find your inspector online. So they are private inspectors, and the process is faster. So within like 4 days or so, persons are inspected.
I was just thinking about that when it was the government gave it up. There was a lot of outcries to the cost. It has settled down now.
Alright, so the market has become a bit fluid, and you'll find that the prices are a bit more competitive.
Okay.
Yes, and so persons, before when it started, you maybe had like less than 30 inspectors. You have almost over 200 inspectors now.
Wonderful.
So you find now that the choices are there.
Mm-hmm.
So persons have to be they're very competitive with their rates.
Okay.
So that is first and foremost, and you can visit our offices, but we don't really, because they're just like 5 offices now, but you go online, just download the My JPS app, have your ID, your TRN, the GR inspection report. If it is that you are not the owner of the premises, you get a letter of permission from the owner, and then if they have the proof of ownership, you upload all of that. So that is the first thing that I'm stating. Individual customer, just right across Jamaica. Just once you see the electrical infrastructure there, you have access to the system. If you don't see the electrical infrastructure there, no, the next stage is that you can apply to JPS. Now what happens is that
to JPS to put in poles.
But what happens, you're given a quotation.
Okay.
And so you're given a quotation. So community renewal now, we are in communities that we're really having high losses.
Right, that's what I wanted to emphasize. Those persons who are in,
Yes, so We're doing it communities by community.
Strategically.
Yes, and yes, if it is that there's a community you want us to look at, we will assess it and then we'll see how.
Okay, so are you saying that? So then you're saying communities can become proactive,
Yes.
and reach out
Yes.
in terms of
Yes.
the initiation initiative to say, can you consider us?
Yes, and the interesting thing is that it's just information that they need, because sometimes we don't even have to go in there and build out any new infrastructure. The infrastructure is there.
Is there? It's just that
There.
persons are not on it.
Yes.
The communities that you're going into, like Barrett Town, Granville, did you say?
Yeah, Barrett Town,
right.
yeah.
What's the condition in those communities? They have infrastructure?
All right. So some of them have, yes, because that's what we're experiencing losses, right? So they have infrastructure there, but a lot of times they have damaged the infrastructure that is there, and because
They're
of
illegally
the theft,
extracting
because
land.
they're also they're illegally extracting land. So you find us having losses over 70%
In that community?
Yes.
So listen now, what you've raised is that if you go into a community, JPS can say the losses in there is
Yeah, we have
more
one.
than
Yeah, because remember, all electricity is measured by the amount of power you put in and the amount of power you pay for.
Yeah.
So if I put in this and I don't,
And no one's paying for the full amount.
It's losses.
It's a loss, right.
so you can actually tell where there is.
Yes.
Do persons need to feel any sensitivity that if when you come in and you can tell that this is a house that has been powered illegally, there's going to be some consequence?
Okay, so what we have realized, you see, is that some persons, they're illegal because it's what they have grown up to see. It's a way of life. So yes, what we do, we go into communities with our strike force operation team. And
It names
yeah,
Strike Force.
Yeah, revenue security strike force. And if you're illegally abstracting, we will remove the power.
Right.
There are times that we may have to use the law. The police is there, so there are those times. But what we're trying to do now is to have that dialogue and to have persons come in and be regularized. And basically, in that conversation, persons, they're given a time frame to get on board, to get your house wired. Sometimes,
But sometimes the house is already wired.
right, so all
because
they
if
need
you're
is a
stealing,
all
then you
they
have
need
something.
is to have a licensed electrician now look
Inspect
at it
and report on
ensure
it.
that
Okay.
the meter socket is in place. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of times you'll have it wired, but they haven't finished it, so they need to put in the meter socket and the sanction to ensure that is in place, and you sign a contract with
All right. So we do want citizens to understand that if you are living in a house that doesn't have a legal, legitimate power supply, don't feel sensitive about stepping forward and saying,
we're
I want.
open.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what we want, and that is what we're asking for persons to just come on board, because it's also a
You're gonna
safety
sanction them
mechanism.
if no, like I stand
No.
back up.
No, that's the question I was asking, and she answered
I'm happy
it.
to see you.
Right.
If you
What is past is what is bygone is bygone. That's what
Right.
you're telling me.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's a good time to come
I
clean.
may ask us, we may go into a discussion as to how we're going to clear up that.
That doesn't make sense. I did not make it look
Well, the
good.
first thing is I just rent this house.
Yeah. I just
I
rent this
found
house.
it.
Yeah,
I find it like this.
Yes, and if that is the case,
Yeah.
we take it from
So
the
you're
customer.
applying some grace then.
Yes, yes.
You're becoming like our master.
Ah, yes.
Applying grace in the situation.
All right. So for our wrapping up segment, you can just go over what persons need to do to participate in the fun part.
Okay. All right. So for the Go Prepaid and Done promotion,
Spin to
it's
win.
Spin to win. It's not only for the community renewal communities. It's for everyone in Jamaica who wants to become a customer of GPS, or encouraging you to become customers of GPS.
So postpaid
Prepaid.
customers are
They
new
have the
customers
option.
are on it too.
Yeah, they have the
Okay.
option
This is for
to
prepaid customers.
Yeah, to switch
Yes.
from postpaid
To prepaid. Okay, so
Right.
it is for the prepaid.
Yes. And also,
product.
as I said, once you sign up to be a prepaid customer, so sign up this month, sign up this week,
Use a
Alright?
minimum of 120.
Use a minimum of 100
And don't try
and
to
not-
scam GPS.
Yeah,
like Tesla's trying
I'm
to
not
do.
saying you must run up your light bill, you know.
Yes,
I'm
but-
just saying you qualify because there are other opportunities with going prepaid. But you use a minimum of 120 kilowatt hours, you top up, and at the end of the month, you are thrown into an electronical draw, and you have the opportunity to win 5 prizes, one of 5 prizes. You'll come in, spin to win, and whatever you spin on, and you land on, you spin. You know, like the wheel of fortune.
Yes,
wheel,
yes,
You spin
yes.
on that wheel, and whatever the prize is,
It's
that's
yours.
And then you stay consistent for the following month, which will be November, and we'll be having our grand draw the first week of December. And once you're consistent, you have that opportunity to win $2
million JPS dollars. That's a different kind of dollar, you know, that established that.
6 million Jamaican dollars.
Yes.
And you say to them, no, man, where you did stay at the
Yes, I was about to tell her that I came to the conclusion that if you win money from JPS, that money worth more than any other money.
Definitely,
That's what I said.
definitely.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
say-
we're really encouraging persons
2
to
million
come
JPS
customize.
dollars is 6 million regular Jamaican
Yeah.
dollars. You feel like you got 6 million. But thank you so much. I know you braved some horrendous obstacles
Well, so
Yes,
eternally
to be
grateful.
here. Some more grateful than others. Perhaps Earl and Percy with the Mona Lisa smile. But you know, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the effort that JPS makes to strike the right note with customers. And
Thank you.
I will not ask you about the meeting that you had with Mr. Vaz.
Yeah.
Ask you about. Suffice it to say,
the Minister of Energy.
it is a
Yeah.
good thing to see the government reaching out and trying to get a better relationship.
Yes.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yes, partnership, and that's what we're
Partnership.
encouraging. Partnership.
Yes. All right. Well, we are also saying thank you to the listeners on air and online. Oh, Nalini in South Africa says we all have beautiful smiles this morning. So I'll tap into that. Thank you, Mr. Producer. You've been a one-man band. Him all take breakfast orders, which, by the way, please don't bash me on the pork eating, but some of us are having
pork
corn
is
pork. Some of us having corn pork.
As somebody
There's
said the
salted
last time.
mackerel,
Yes.
pickled mackerel, and salt fish. That's the Jamaican. And corn pork and cornfish. Yes.
JD's.
Why isn't it cornfish? It's corned pork. Yeah, JD's Urban Pub is pushing out the usual great Jamaican breakfast. If you are in Kingston, it's definitely a place to visit. And of course, the Ligani Club, your home away from home in this beautiful spot in the city. Have a great weekend, everyone. You know that on Thursdays we say have a good weekend, 'cause that's it
Great
for
weekend,
us.
and just as
Yeah.
we go, we want to thank the guests that have been here, the lady
Yes.
from Staten, and
I call it for the lady from Staten.
yeah.
Sasha Gay Fraser of Staten, who
Sasha Gay
blew
Fraser.
through here like a hurricane
Right.
and left a lot of useful information.
and of course, Prophet Ricardo Brown,
Who's gonna blow through your sanctuary like a hurricane on Saturday?
the medical
Is it
mission
Saturday or
this
Sunday?
morning.
When does he preach?
Saturday night.
Saturday night is
There's
his
the
night.
medical missions that started already.
It's on the way.
It's on the way, and it goes all day.
At the Fellowship Tabernacles Worship Center on Fairfield.
Fairfield Avenue, Kingston
Fairfield Avenue.
20.
Yeah.
We'll be servicing the communities of Marvelly, Waterhouse, Pembroke Hall in terms of eye doctor, children
all right.
doctor, dental, that kind of a thing, and giveaways. Bless them for coming.
Marlene, when JPS creates its currency called the JPS dollar, please remember yours truly, because it's
Definitely. And we actually have a project in Marvel. It's interesting you should say that.
Man, so,
Yeah.
yeah, man. So yeah, we're working. It's
Health
about
and power.
It's about community renewal
Yeah.
and transformation.
Lowell is punning on the word currency. So
And
when
our
JPS
previous
have its
winner
own currency.
of the Grand Bonanza was from
Marvelly?
Marvelly.
Whoa.
What? Marvelly catching fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a
All right,
good way.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Okay,
Over
well.
and out. Thanks to the ones back at the studio. We remember you.
Bless